I don't care what people say, tomorrow is too far away. We can leave and they can stay, cause I for one am never gonna change. Ever since I was a kid, knobby knees and lots of lip, I found it hard to listen when they told me to be quiet and to wait. I think they'd agree that's just not possible for me. I wanna shout, I wanna scream, I wanna dance, I wanna sing. I think you are just like me, let's go see what we can see and sing a little louder for one.
Wow.
I mean, I love the sitcom intros where it shows us like laughing, and I love that.
Oh,
I want to
Great
get a clip
intro.
of me
That
laughing.
went-
Where did you find that? I thought I burned all those.
That went hard. That was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Wow.
It's very creative. I love it. And that's the perfect, okay, so perfect intro and perfect special guest for episode 20. Matt Bender, welcome to Left Past 10.
Oh, it's a pleasure to
Welcome,
be
Matt.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could have, with an intro that good, I could have just fooled everyone and just said, "Hey, everyone, this is the new leftist mafia. This is the show now. This is the lineup.
New
We're
and
moving it to
improved.
Wednesday nights."
Controversy.
Everyone else?
I love it.
Found some real quick replacements. We'll call them temporaries.
Yeah, we're the temp agency here. All right.
Yeah, it's an ongoing joke on Leftist Mafia. Whenever someone is late or they're not there that week, it's they got some bad news. They've left the show. So Mike, David, Rebecca,
Ev-
Lance, they're all left.
Some bad news. No, it is a real treat to have you on. Thanks a lot. I mean, this is our free form, all new. Well, kind of, I don't know, 20 episodes are still new, right? We haven't hit 25.
It's not all new. It's just like half new.
It's
Freshman?
not even. Yeah, it's all
beginner, not intermediate. Anyway, it's newish group show, and we've been having guests. This is a big deal. So thanks for being here.
I love group shows. I love panels. That's what basically this is. I love
Yeah.
This is
lots
a
of
panel.
people together discussing. There's lots to discuss this week.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like a lot.
I was
It's
thinking
almost too much.
I might warm us up with a joke. That's normally Matt's territory, but I thought I'd
I don't tell
expand my borders.
No,
Try it a little
please
bit.
go ahead.
All right.
Are those
The
envelopes?
bartender says we don't serve your kind here.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Didish. I don't. All
That's
right.
a
Well, I guess it
blanket
takes more
joke.
preparation.
You know, there is a lot going on though. I mean, I think everybody, rightly so, is talking about the Michigan primaries and the
Yes.
uncommitted vote. I think that's huge. And this just between streams tonight, because I did the one at 8 and then this one, I saw this story a couple of places, but it's not like an official story, so I haven't read anything. But they were saying like apparently two Biden aides were, I don't know if it was like a hot mic or something, but they were overheard. One was saying like the president's shitting his pants, and the other was like because of the uncommitted vote. And the first one said, "What uncommitted vote?"
Ba-doom boom.
Sorry,
We don't have sound effects, Matt, but I do them.
I'm still voting for him. I'm still
Oh,
going
those
to
are
vote
good.
for him.
Those are good.
They know. They know.
Yeah.
Breaking
I
letter
think-
hack will vote for genocide Joe. How many
Well-
Gazans do you want to murder personally, Matt?
Oh, okay.
All right.
Convince me not to.
I
Convince you
wa-
not to murder the Gazans with your vote? Well,
Well,
I don't think I need
Andrea-
to do that.
and-
Unless
And
we
I
don't
think,
have a president.
it's impressive that they were able to get that many people out in a primary
it
to
is
vote
very.
Yeah.
for nobody. I mean, that's what an uncommitted vote is. You really need to. Usually people go out to vote for someone because they feel strongly
Yeah.
about someone. This was
Great point.
the vote for a lack of a candidate that they wanted to support. Basically to send a message to Joe Biden that they don't support what he's been doing, his administration's been doing in Gaza, and basically their unfettered support of Israel. I mean, any sort of messaging you see out there from the White House, from the Biden administration, from Biden himself, it's frankly been bullshit. that they are reining in. They had a stern talk with Netanyahu. It's
Don't forget the
garbage. It
letter.
means nothing.
There's a letter
It me-
pending.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
means nothing. It means
Stern.
nothing because the United States has a lot of power here to actually tell Israel not to do something or to do something because we literally send them billions of dollars of funding. And right now we send them lots of money and funds and equipment to basically do what they're doing. We are, they're dropping U.S.
Right.
bombs there.
Right.
Yeah. I read a article on air the other day that was discussing Reagan's going through the same thing, where Israel was once again just massacring people, and Reagan in one 20-minute phone call was able to stop it. Not 20 minutes, excuse me, a one phone call, a short one, and 20 minutes later the bombing stopped. And he's literally quoted as saying, "I didn't know I had that power." I would love Joe Biden just to see if he does.
Do you think that
Try maybe leading.
Oh no.
He's
Yeah.
a
I mean,
proud
it's-
Zionist, so
it's
he's
like
not going to do
this
that.
close to being too little, too late, right? I mean, it's the tragic truth.
It's
is like
months already.
30,000. I
There's-
mean, do it. Don't get me
Yes,
wrong. There's
that's-
no reason
yeah.
not to do it, but like, he should still be held accountable for not doing it up until this point. Like, my God, after, I don't know, 30,000 people, that's incredible.
Okay. And so the conundrum for me is, seeing through my experience in life is, okay, we are making that statement, but there's how many Muslims the right wing hates them. And so Trump gets in again, and we have Project 2025. And then what? I mean, we're really in a shit situation. Then what?
Yeah.
I mean, really, then what? There's
This-
so much
this
hatred.
is-
What are they
this
going to
is
do?
all over.
The Overton window action. Trump does something, the right wing does something like 2025, and that means that those with evil tendencies on the left, or who are representatives of the hypothetical left, they can suddenly get away with literal murder because it's murder that is within the Overton window as set by the far right. So I think the answer,
Maybe.
depressingly, is going to be absolutely stamping out any remnants of MAGA, of the Republican Party whatsoever in November at the ballot box. Just make them a non-issue. So then it becomes a debate between the Democrats and the progressives, however those are represented, and probably reflected in the primaries more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, not to jump the gun yet about what this means for November, but I think the message is clear that a large portion of the Democratic base in Michigan, an important swing state, is saying that they are willing to not support Joe Biden based on his action or inaction or both, really, on all around in Gaza. And it's also important to point out that the reason they're doing this now is that they want him to do something. Like, I don't think, I feel like we put so much attention on, and not just the five of us here right now. Obviously, I think, the larger media and the discourse surrounding what happened in Michigan yesterday is that, the election, what's going to happen here? That's not really the point, though, from the people who voted uncommitted. Like, the point is that there are tens of thousands of people in Gaza who have died already, who have been killed in Israel's campaign of, genocide,
Horror.
really.
It is
Right.
genocide. Read the Holocaust website. It is
Right.
genocide.
Right. And they're basically saying, do something about this to their president, the president of the United States, or we're going to do the one thing that we do have within our power, and that's just we won't vote for you. We won't support you. And in Michigan, the number of people who voted uncommitted is very close to the number of votes that Biden won Michigan by. in 2020
Yeah.
over Trump. So, I mean, and again, this is the Democratic base. So many people keep talking about how, the people who voted uncommitted, they're not going to vote for they're not Joe Biden voters anyway. They are Democratic primary voters. They
Yeah.
are literally the people most likely to go out and vote
Yep.
for the Democratic president or the
Yep.
Democratic candidate, I should
That's
say.
right.
I mean, it's that simple. And if your argument, if I've seen another thing where it's like, people registered just to vote in this election. Well, the people who've registered to vote in this election, they're not Republicans.
Right.
So you could have a whole new generation of previous non-voters brought into the Democratic Party, and you're not going to do anything for them. You're not going to do anything to win them over. In fact, you're going to push them away. I mean, the whole reaction. I mean, I actually do think that, without letting people know, they are, the White House, the administration, the Democratic Party. I do think they're worried about what happened.
You do.
Think
I was
that
going
this
to
can-
ask. You
yeah,
think
I do think they're worried
they're
about
sweating?
this. They're not stupid. Like, if the Joe Biden K-Hive hashtag resistance, libs want to pretend online that this is no big deal. I mean, they could fool themselves all they want, and they could cope by telling themselves everything's hunky dory. But the administration,
Yeah.
without a doubt, is worried about what happened.
Here's
This
where.
is, yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
After
No,
you definitely finish that.
No, I
up.
was just gonna say, like, they're not stupid. Like, these are people who are paid lots of money to make sure the Democrats win elections. They realize the significance of this. I mean, it could come down to Michigan in 2024. This
Can you
isn't
imagine?
2020. This isn't 2020. This isn't,
No.
Joe Biden's not going to walk away with, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, like it's a knockout, a home run knocking the ball out of the park. It's going to be a tough race, and I don't think they're going to win as many states, obviously, as they did in 2020. There's a lot going against them. They're the incumbent. Biden is incredibly unpopular. There's not COVID. We're not in the middle of COVID.
I disagree with
things,
that.
Things are a lot different.
Right.
No, go ahead.
Here's where things get different. Just like COVID never left, but the voting populace doesn't think that's the case.
no lockdown?
Biden is of the belief that he can win over conservatives. Whether that's true or not is to the side. He thinks he can. And there were 630,000 votes for Biden in the Democratic election. There was 100,000 votes for uncommitted. Go over to the Republican side. There was 760,000 votes for Trump and 300,000 votes for Haley. Biden is going to look at what he needs to beat Trump in Michigan. He's going to look at his 150,000 gap. He's going to look at unconfirmed and think, if I please those people 100%, I'm going to pick up not enough to win. If I please half of Nikki Haley's voters, I win. And
It's not going to happen. Those
rest
Haley
gotta
voters
stay
are going to come home. It's
Agreed.
ludicrous. They're going to come home.
that's-
They're
that's
going to vote Trump.
Lurie
At the end of the day, they're going to look at what Haley actually stood for policy wise, because that's what a Haley over Trump voter basically wants. They want the same policies, but without the rough edges of Donald Trump, who says mean things. I mean, and at the end of the day, Trump will give them exactly what they want, because, again, aside from Nikki Haley being more professional in her demeanor, which is actually arguable, I think, they're one and the same. It's the same exact candidate policy wise.
In South
that's why I say it's
Carolina,
perception.
we are inundated with flyers in the mail. I don't know how I got on this list, but it's not even saying vote for Haley. It's saying if Trump is a candidate, if it's going to be Biden. So, like, we can't have Trump as a candidate. And they don't even say it's Haley should be the candidate. They're just saying it can't be Biden. And then all of a sudden, those same ones started being Nikki Haley is our best choice to go against Biden. And then, like, in the last 3 weeks, they stopped. And I was getting them every day. Now I'm not getting them at all. And I'm like, maybe they just had funding up until that point and they don't now, or the message is hopefully out there and it is what it is. But like, I think it's, and this is South Carolina, so it's, I don't know, is that Haley country? She was a governor, but like this, it comes down
She
to
lost the primary to Trump in South Carolina. Her home
right,
state.
exactly.
We're asking
And so
that.
like, I'm thinking that's like right around when they stopped.
Well,
I mean, she lost her backers. They're dropping out because there is no
Yeah.
chance. Like they believed in the delusions that there was an opening for an alternative candidate.
Will
to Trump,
she
which,
back Trump personally? Do you think she'll
she
endorse
will,
Trump?
without a doubt?
Right,
That's what I
because the
think.
Koch
They
brother
all
money
come
is
home. They all come home.
Yeah.
Right. Look at Ted Cruz. Donald Trump made fun
get the
of
phone
his
picture
wife's
up here, please?
looks. Right.
I mean,
Literally
that is
demeaned
pretty
the
funny.
man's wife. And he came home, and not just came home and endorsed him like mealy mouth endorsement for the good of the party. He hit the phones, right? Like you said, he hit the phones. He did some work for Trump. I mean, at the end of the day, they don't care about anything but themselves and
Right.
getting across policies that they truly do believe in. Yeah, that'll be Nikki Haley. That'll be Nikki Haley in
Yeah.
a few weeks.
at
Maybe
that
maybe
face.
maybe a few months. Maybe a few months, depending on how long they gotta work her over. But they
I gotta
will.
print that out so I can look at it during the apocalypse.
You know, they're also, I got a text today from the Democrats, and they're pulling out Liz Cheney and all the fear of, oh my God, you know, Trump will never leave if he is elected again. I don't know that for sure, but that's what they're doing. You know, they're
Well,
doing
it's
that
funny
too.
because both candidates would win handily if the other one didn't participate. Like if Trump weren't there, like Biden would fucking lose, and the opposite is also true. Like they're just the least popular candidates, but somehow
How do we get here? I mean, how does this keep happening?
the voters
Oh
are
my
fucking
God.
stupid,
Yeah,
and no one
well, of
cares about
course.
doing anything else other than voting. So we're fucked.
Well, it's
I'm working to keep Jamal Bowman in New York. And
Oh,
right
good.
now he's been put up, George Latimer, it was the Westchester County executive, and he's been put up against Bowman. My brother and his son are volunteering for Bowman, and we're going to do everything we can, even though that's not my district, but I live in a red part of the state, so it's not going to it doesn't matter here.
Ever
You
since
know.
he pulled the fire alarm, he's my favorite member of Congress. It's no question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I
pretty
am disgusted. What is happening in Westchester makes me really mad. It makes me sick.
Okay,
Prefer
so
Eastchester.
Haley.
Westchester, New York.
So we all think Haley endorses Trump.
without a
Yep.
doubt.
Without
End
a
of the
doubt.
day, I think.
Jake,
you know,
you don't
I'm gonna
know
say no.
who she endorsed.
Biden.
I just don't
No.
know how you could think that
No.
with Coke money behind them. How would they? And they're not going to let her do that.
She'd rather run third party or something than endorse Biden, I think.
Let me be clear. Going to happen? No, but I'm going to bet that it's going to happen. And there's a key difference, which is how much you get paid. What are we talking here?
You want to bet?
Yeah.
I'll bet you $50 right now that Haley does not. Is that too much? Don't let me go too steep.
$50.
I'll add
All I have to do is
I gotta
sell a
pay my
couple of
bills.
comics.
200?
I sell like 2 comics and I got $50. So don't let me go too steep.
It's going to depend on what my new product line does. What do I have here? I got a crisp 20. A crisp 20.
Okay, I bet you 20
Andrea,
that Haley
pull out
does
your wad.
not.
Oh, yeah.
Haley does not.
I'm
endorse.
betting a whole stack on this.
Oh,
Yeah, she's
I think
got-
she
she's
will
got the
not
money.
endorse Joe Biden. So there you go. You're standing to make a lot of fake money here. So you can do a lot of things with fake money. Like convert it to real money if you have
I don't-
someone who doesn't know it's fake money.
I don't think she'll. Okay, $20 says that she does not endorse Biden.
I'm agree with you.
And side bet,
Oh, side
she,
bet?
she does endorse Trump.
Yeah,
I'm sticking
of course she's going to.
to the main bet mostly because
Okay.
I literally couldn't fund another one.
Okay. So,
But I
She's
would-
gonna
this will be
endorse
interesting.
Trump, but she's gonna like do it in like an embarrassing like way where she's like, I don't want to do it, but Biden's a communist, so you know.
Yeah, that speech is already
There
written.
you
She's
go.
got that statement
That's-
prepared for sure.
That's pretty
right?
close to what it's going to be, honestly.
Mhm.
It's going to be
I
something
think Andrea's
like
right on the money.
We have to stop the Marxist commies on the left, and yep.
Oh my
He's
God.
opening the borders and all that. It's all that stuff. yeah.
I was listening to Glenn Beck through earlier say they were talking about
Glenn
the
Beck's still on?
oh God, he's disgusting. But I listened
Wow.
and I learned what I should be, understanding. The guy is they are skewering, scour, whatever they're doing to the left, the radical left, and the guy that immolated himself, and they call them pro Hamas, and it's just awful the brainwashing that goes on, and people that fall for that.
I polled my chat. 85% said they would vote uncommitted for Biden in a primary.
I would rather vote committed to not Biden. Like I'm very committed to that. Like uncommitted, it's too neutral. I don't know.
So who would you
I
vote
write
for?
in, I'm very committed to not voting for Joe Biden. That's what I wrote in. It's a little long. It's like 3 paragraphs. I hope they read it.
You've got other
What?
choices. You can vote for Jill Stein. You can vote for
Well, Mary Ann's
All
unsuspending
right,
her
Mary-
campaign.
Mary
she's
Ann.
bringing it back. She decided
Apparently
there's
she
more money
resuspended.
to steal from her.
Resuspended
take
in
from
the
her
same day?
audience. So, what?
Oh wait, that she unsuspended.
Today, this morning, yeah,
She
I
unsuspended.
can't keep up with this gal.
The first thing
You
I
know,
thought
it's a-
of was when George Costanza quit and then went into work the next day. Like, what? That's
I have no idea what you're talking about.
not quite the
obviously,
same.
we're still running
Shit.
for president. I mean, I got another book coming out here. Come on.
It's actually a real shame that there wasn't a legit
You're right,
left-wing
primary.
candidate running in the Democratic primary this year.
I think Cornel West could have
there's-
done a really good job, but he decided to do
should've-
something
he sh-
different.
He should have. He really should have thrown his hat. Not saying that they were going to win, but there would have been a much stronger push against Joe Biden and his policies and what's happening in Gaza, because there would have been someone on the stage, in the spotlight, speaking out against it, with a movement behind them, with a voting base behind them, and that uncommitted number, those people voting uncommitted would have had someone to stand with.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been a much stronger pushback against Biden and could have pushed them harder than, what they had to do with the uncommitted vote, which is still a good tactic, but it would have been much more if there was someone there for them to get behind, to speak out. But, unfortunately, no one saw this coming. I mean, by October, who would have known? And by then, it was
would have
probably
known,
too late anyway.
And I'll say this: I'm not. I don't disagree with you. I would have preferred having another Bernie out there to represent a movement. But the advantage to the situation we find ourselves in that we can press is that there's nobody to blame the election on if Biden fails. People aren't going to turn around and go, "God damn you, Jill Stein,"
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
they will.
They will,
they're-
but people
they
will
will,
anyway.
But it will lack.
We're so
a
happy that
focus.
Jill Stein is running again, so that we can just reuse all of our tweets, just copy and paste them. When Howie Hawkins was in
No,
there, it
it's
was a huge
actually-
problem.
Yeah, he was boring. She's not.
I actually think it's even worse because we're already seeing it sort of online now. They're gonna blame Arabs and Muslim people. It's gonna be all out racism from the
Absolutely.
Democratic base. It's not gonna be targeted at an individual who's likely at least semi-wealthy and comfortable and has some sort of a career or life to fall back on. They are going to straight up get as racist as possible and blame Arab people, Muslim people. They're going to blame Palestinian people for dying in Gaza, for losing Joe Biden the election.
see,
They're going to
the
blame.
big
They're going to blame the
gaslight.
left. You're going to see them joke about the LGBTQ people for Palestine and mock them. It's going to be an absolute. It's going to be.
They're already calling Rashida.
They're already doing it. Yeah.
They're calling
they're
her a
gonna-
fascist.
yes.
They're calling her a fascist.
But see,
They're
I
gonna
heard it
blame
today.
Rashida Tlaib, right? They'll blame
Uh-huh.
her. They'll blame Ilhan Omar. They'll blame Cory Bush. They'll blame even AOC, who has been sort of, in the background on all this comparatively to Rashida Tlaib and Cory Bush, for example. They'll blame Jamal Bowman. It'll be all out against the left, both politicians and just leftist voters.
This is MAGA gets it right, I think. You'll
I hate
note
that term, by the way, but go ahead.
The what?
You'll note that the Republican Party is led around by the people who are most dedicated to the things they say they're about. Worth noting that the things they say they're about is not what they're about. They're about thieving from the American people. But nonetheless, they're led around by MAGA, whereas the Democratic Party is not led around by progressives. And the way they do
wish
that,
they
they don't
were.
appeal to the billionaires like you'd expect. The way they do that is en masse. They write emails and they show up at their candidate's place of business. Think about Lindsey Graham after January 6th trying to make it through the airport. He was surrounded by MAGA folks screaming at him. We should be doing the same thing. You see a Democrat being a warmonger, you've got an email to write. It's that simple. You write him an email, you say, "What's the matter with you? You're a Democrat, not a Republican. Get out of here with your bloodthirsty attitude." Did you just call Rashida Tlaib a much better politician than you, a fascist? Is that what you said? Prepare to never make a national office. Just so you know, you will never represent me at a national level. If you ever need to vote, get a vote from a lefty from my state, you won't have it. Words like that will scare the hell out of them. And
Where
change
can
their
I
tune real
download that
quick.
template? Have you not typed that up yet and put it on Discord? What are you waiting for?
Can we get
I
like
will.
a left-wing
I'll
Mad Libs that we can just email out just whenever?
Fuck.
You know what? That's what I'm going to do. It'll be good therapy, too. I'll just rant into the microphone for a while at various politicians. Then I'll type it up as a transcript and give it to anybody who wants it.
That sounds great.
Well, there's another issue also with Gaza because no matter who wins, there's gas and oil off the coast. Trump, Biden, each administration will be chomping at the bit. They are now. There's reserves. It had been talked about before this happened. So this is a very sticky situation.
Can you imagine if there was a massive horseshoe lobby that stopped cars from being invented, and we were now at the point where somehow people were fighting wars and murdering whole countries over horseshoes because we had stopped cars from being invented? That's where we are with electric powered everything. It's madness.
I hate cars. I'm a car hater. I'm pro horseshoe.
There's
Fair.
lots of horses. You got to come visit me, Andrea. Lots of horses here.
I'm scared of horses, actually. They're really big. And
Yeah,
I met a horse once and they exhaled on me. And I fell backwards slightly. It was very,
No.
If,
I was like 4.
Went
I was not ready.
if
Yeah,
you
it was
have
intense.
10
Ah.
if you have 10 horseshoes in one hand and 3 bales of hay in the other hand, what do you have?
Gigantic hands.
Yeah, that's actually the answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
But I
good.
want to know
Alright,
more about
well,
the bales of hands. What's going on
Yeah,
there? Can we
well.
get some more information?
I didn't mean to let that out. But no, this is it. I think all in one voting day, some very interesting stuff happened. There's a lot
Yeah.
to look at. And of course, it's all doom and gloom, but there's strategies in there. I know you love the strategies, Jake. We all do. This voting uncommitted sends a message. They were talking about it on Morning Joe. That's basically Biden's Fox News. You know what I mean? Like apparently
Oh,
he's
he
watching
loves
that show
Morning
and calling
Joe.
them. So
It's the ladies and gentlemen's horse head on a pillow.
I'd love to see what happens. Yeah, I'd really love to see if the message was received. I mean, we're hearing this, right? But like, okay, Senator Nina Turner was on CNN, and she's talking about, a ceasefire because of the amount of people that are being killed. And one of them argues, yeah, well, it's happening in Israel too. And it's like, that's not an argument against a ceasefire. That's an argument for a ceasefire. It's being tossed like these arguments are being tossed around just for the sake of arguing almost. And not to forget, I think somebody mentioned Bakari Sellers took like Israeli funding for his campaign at one point. I forget who he campaigned against, but he was backed by Israel, like financially. So of course he's going to do that. But the arguments are not even holding water. They're just throwing them out there. And my worry is that and okay, it's not even a worry. It's true. That has been the messaging that voters listen to the most, is whatever they say on the media. And even the media had to go, damn, that's a lot of uncommitted votes. That would really make a difference. Like, there were people trying to predict what the uncommitted votes were going to be, and they didn't come anywhere close. So if this catches wind, because they're going to be able to do it where? In Colorado, right? And there's maybe 2 or 3 other places they're going to try and do this.
No, there's a few actually. There's quite a few actually. There's a lot of states I saw that you could vote uncommitted. Listen,
Like, still
I
to
don't
go.
think-
Yeah, okay.
Right. I don't think it's anything's gonna be as big as what we saw in Michigan simply because.
Oh, really? Why not?
Oh,
Because of
Michigan
my
has
town.
Michigan is a huge Arab American population,
Detroit.
bigger than pretty much
Dearborn.
anywhere else in terms of I mean, Dearborn
I think it was
uncommitted
75% that voted for
uncommitted
uncommitted
beat
in Dearborn.
Biden in Dearborn, yeah.
Wow,
But
okay.
I do think you have to look at it like sort of proportionally dependent on each place. Like there were people who were like, oh, the uncommitted vote, disappointed, expecting that like people thought the uncommitted vote was gonna like actually defeat Biden statewide or even get close. No, that was never the point. The point was just to show that the number of people willing to not vote for Biden if things don't change by November. That number is close enough to lose Biden the state. It wasn't about beating Biden. It was about saying, without us, you will lose in November.
And you better pay
So I think
attention.
So if that, if that repeats state by state, again, it's not
That's
going to
a
be
movement.
as big, but if the number is, proportional to each state, I think that's a big deal. Throw some random state out there. I can't even think of any that would be completely random off the top of my head.
Alaska?
But like Alaska, yes. If there's just a few thousand, Alaska might not matter because it's a red state to
Montana?
begin with. Montana's a red state too. We could
Wisconsin?
throw up Arizona. Arizona. If
There you go.
Arizona has even
That's a big one.
a few thousand uncommitted, 5,000 uncommitted votes. Biden didn't win by that many. That's like a quarter, if not more, of the votes he won by in Arizona in 2020.
And we got to sell that as well.
That's
We
too
have to-
much to play with, especially when he's not going to get as many votes this time around as he did in 2020.
Uncommitted
So
votes.
my-
You're talking.
I have a thing about this that I'm not confident that Joe Biden even knows what year it is. So like I don't know how any of this is going to affect his decision like to step down or to change course.
Yeah, that's
like-
my point. We have to sell it. We have to convince him, like, look, you're not going to get these Haley voters. As Matt says, they're going home to Trump at the end of the day. We have to go to Andrea and be like, this gal does not want to vote for you. You, Joe Biden, have to change her mind.
Yeah, Joe.
That's your dilemma.
Then we have on Twitter X today, I saw centrist Democrats just hating on Nina Turner. Hating on her.
Oh, they
It
love
was-
that. It's like they
it-
wake
it-
up in the morning, Nina Turner's trending, and they like cancel, like
Oh.
call in sick from work. You
It
know,
was
like everything is
horrible.
ready.
like she's still relevant. It was just awful. I
Anderson
couldn't
Cooper
stand
said,
it.
"We don't need a lecture to her."
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
see it. I
Oh
just
my
saw
God.
what they were saying on Twitter about it. Oh my God.
He said, "We don't
Okay,
need a
Vanderbilt,
lecture."
relax.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
We got to
Money
get rid
bags.
of this two-party system because
Yeah.
it just doesn't work. Unfortunately, we are stuck. We are really stuck.
I think when Trump's out of the picture, by default, through the primaries, we are going to be a four-party system. It's absolutely already MAGA versus Republican. Progressives are finally growing in numbers. I think we are going to have
You're optimistic.
true ballot wars in 28. I just hope like hell that, there's voting still in 28 because
That's
we
my
sort
main
of
concern.
won this one.
It's
There's-
50-50 that we can vote in 2028.
I feel like there's a lot of Democratic challengers sitting this out. Like they could be primarying Biden right now. They could be challenging Biden right now, and they're sitting it out, just kind of waiting their turn. And this was a David Sirota tweet that I can't let go. But they're also saying, like, guys, if we don't win this election in 2024, there's not going to be elections after this.
Well,
it's like, well, then
that's
why are
what
you
they were
waiting
saying.
for the next election? Get in it now. Let's go. This is democracy. Let's have some choices. I don't know.
I just wish that there was such a thing as like a friendly competition. Like, can't you just like go
Right.
to a primary and
Yeah.
like go off against someone in a friendly way, like the way Bernie was trying to do, but everyone else
Yeah.
was like, fucking going
No.
for the jugular on that guy. But he was
No,
like, oh, they're my
because the
friends."
DNC is ultimately corrupt. And they have power, and they're not even going to do what the Republicans do and even let a debate go on. Even because they're using the excuse that Biden's the incumbent. So what? He was supposed to be a one-term president when we voted for him in 2020. Was not that the whole thing?
When is
If
Super
there's good
Tuesday?
Be
Is
a
that
sea
coming up?
change. I think it's in 28. But you're not wrong. It's a
Oh,
corrupt.
dead.
It's a corrupt party.
Was Super
Can I-
Tuesday
are we
like
gonna
next
do-
week or the week after?
Do what now?
I know they changed the fucking calendar this year. Like this fucking horse shit, man.
When is
Yeah,
Super Tuesday?
I forgot all
Anybody?
about Super Tuesday. Let me look it up. What is it? It's
I prefer Super Wednesday. That's my preference.
I take a Fat Tuesday over Super Tuesday any day.
My man.
March 5th. That's coming up. That's next week.
Yeah.
I was right. Oh man, I don't
That
read the
is-
news anymore,
okay,
but
right.
I'm the most correct all the time.
I got John from San Antonio coming on my show Monday night to do some predictions.
Ooh, that would be good.
All right.
Hey,
Look
do you
forward
guys
to that.
remember?
He did was that the first time he ever showed his face on your show?
Yeah.
God damn. It's a huge moment in
Did
history.
you see that Bender?
No, I did
Yeah.
not.
It was
I
cool.
missed
He's
that.
been on once before. I kind of
I'll have to
interviewed
check
him.
it out.
He is great. I mean, really knowledgeable guy. Like he has statistics about pollsters. He knows who got what right and by what person. He's got it all
Yeah,
up
he
here.
is
It's
good.
amazing. Yeah.
He's the
Okay.
next Nate Silver. Only he's Nate Silver without all the bullshit, basically.
He's
do
really
you all
good.
remember? Not so long ago, we said that we, as part of Left Past 10, we were going to start competing with each other to sell merchandise.
Oh.
You,
can-
said it?
You,
Oh,
you-
well, there was joint agreement. Audience, come
I
on
don't
now.
know.
Joint
I don't know.
agreement. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a fair critique.
Yeah,
there.
but we were going to donate the money to something.
bullshit.
I thought. No, all right.
Yeah, my wallet.
We are.
'Cause,
I'm selling.
Jake, you are the capitalist.
So I would
The
like to say this
capitalist
is a
capitalist here.
one-of-a-kind autographed piece of paper.
Wow.
And
That's huge.
so if we want to do a bidding war, whatever Jake sent as the starting price, I'll even throw in the pen that I used to create the autograph, which is very legible. As you can see, this is starting the bidding.
Well, believe it or not, I'm selling merch that says I mod for Letterhack. People are buying it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Shirts, stickers, mugs. I'm selling all that stuff. I see the orders come in. And I'm like, there they are. It's
I
great.
just wanted to point out that I scooped all of you punks because I made the first ever Left Past 10 merchandise,
That's
and I
true.
labeled it
That's
as
gonna be
such.
huge.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Check
be
this
huge.
out, Bender. You
We-
got to
we
get
still-
in.
We still don't even have Leftist Mafia merch. We've been doing it over a year now. So
See?
I mean, we're
I have
really
nothing.
behind. You guys.
And
are-
here's the thing,
No,
Bender.
I
if
have
you-
nothing.
I got no
if-
merch for myself either.
No,
You
I
know,
had coffee
yeah.
cups, but I sent them out myself. I had them made and I mailed them out myself.
My
Just
only
to people on the
merchandise are
buy me a
toenail
coffee.
clippings. If you'd like to
Bender,
buy
you got to
toenail
screw
clippings, let me
over
know.
your
Oh,
co-host
shit.
here because if you make the first
I
ever
don't want merch.
Leftist Mafia merch, then that's a collector's item right there. That's
Well,
all
we
I'm
would
saying.
do it
It's
all
just more
together. But
junk.
what I will say is, people
Yeah.
have. There's been an interest from more people than I thought that they want the letter hacks version of me as a Peanuts character, as a plushie, like as a plush toy.
Oh yeah.
I wish like a good amount of people said this, but like
That's
I even looked into it. To order a plush, though, you have to
too
get
much.
them in large quantities, larger than I think even I've got ready to buy one. So
Fair enough.
unfortunately, that has to be on hold. But I think your
Even-
Peanuts version of me, people love it. People think it's people.
good.
Someone just as I went on, someone I guess saw it for the first time on Twitter from your tweet, letter hack, and they were like, I somehow look like they can't look at me now without seeing a Peanuts character because your Peanuts version of me just I look like I was created by Charles Schultz now because of you. That's what they said.
I have a request for.
Oh, like
Matt
you're
Binder.
just cosplaying the cartoon. I see. That's awesome.
Have you ever heard of VTubers?
Yes, I have.
You should get the cartoon and animate it for VTubing, and then just show up on stream one day as the Peanuts
be-
character, and then don't mention
pretty
it.
good.
No one mention
Right.
it. It's unmentionable. No one talk about it, and then you just do the whole show like that.
I have other people that I've drawn as Peanuts characters say, I don't even want my own plush doll. I want the Bender plush doll. I think Olay was saying that. I found
It's-
very flattering.
It's perfect. You've created a like you could literally throw that character in Peanuts. And I'm not saying this because it's me. I'm just astounded by how great that Peanuts rendition is.
It works so well.
It looks like a real Peanuts character.
It worked really good. Do you remember when I was doing the Simpsons Majority Report, like the Halloween Simpsons Majority Report? I did like 18 of them, and I would just put you in there as Groundskeeper Willie.
Right, that one's not as beloved.
And well, but Jamie Peck said, I love how Bender's basically just Groundskeeper Willie in all these.
Right, you just basically changed his hair black, and that was it. That was. To be fair, that was earlier in my, my return to the Majority Report. So you're probably like, oh man, what do I do with Bender? I'll just throw him in there as Groundskeeper Willie.
It made it easy for me. It was really fast, but yeah,
Right.
that was great. This is I think that like I looked into the plush doll. I looked into a whole bunch of stuff, and I went down a lot of different rabbit holes and avenues. The most affordable way, like you can do one, which I'm sure you saw. You can get like a prototype made for like $100.
Where?
And then
Where's it made?
a few different places. I don't know where, but online there's a few different places, and then probably overseas. But anyway, then once you're like, oh,
How many
and
seats?
like you even get to like edit the prototype for free in some cases, like up to a few times. And then it's like if you want to go forward with it, you need to order thousands of them. And like it would be really expensive for consumers, like for viewers to get in on it, way too expensive. So I was going to make my own, and I researched all the supplies to make exactly one.
Okay.
And I figured I'd make two just as a test, but I can do it pretty affordably. Like I
Let's go to
researched it for
Build-A-Bear.
$30.
See, doing your art yourself, Matt, to me is different than mass buying junk.
Yeah.
You know, quite frankly, we have enough crap floating around the oceans and the whole planet as it is.
I didn't
So
do it because
I like that idea. See,
like
that's
making a
that,
doll of Matt is a step too far for me. That's
No,
a
but-
little
but
too like
something of
cringy
you.
for me personally. Like, what are you
something
doing,
of
dude?
you. Oh, no gold sneakers, please.
Your wife comes in the room. What are you working on there?
Nothing.
Oh, just
Don't look.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
could be
I think-
voodoo.
how
But you
about-
gotta
how
stream
about
it. Like
Matt?
you have to have Binder on for like a 17-hour show while you like
That's
make
even
the whole
worse.
thing.
What are you talking about? It's even more cringe.
you know, Matt,
How
you could
awkward.
always do something. You could always do something,
that.
and it could be kind of a raffle type thing. And then the proceeds could be donated to something really worthy.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
mean,
well,
the problem
we're all-
is like just getting enough. Like I was looking up just randomly. The first thing that came up from customplush.com, the quote minimum order is 500 custom plushies. It's a
Okay,
lot.
just
I
problem
can't
solved.
deal with this.
just say just pass that.
if
on
it was
to
like
the
if it was like
audience.
let's say it was like 100.
Shit.
That I think would have been doable because even if I sold like half of them, I would probably end up selling the rest like over time.
Yeah.
But I can't be having 450 plush versions of
Just-
me
Just
sitting in
open
my
the closet and then they all
That's
fall
frightening,
out. One of them
actually.
starts like moving. They're possessed by a demon of some kind.
Pass that on to the audience. I'm just saying, minimum order. You sell them still.
Okay.
Show what they will look like. Minimum order 500.
You could
Here's the-
crowdfund it where if you don't hit a goal, you just don't do it. I mean,
I don't
that's
think
like
there's 500
Kickstarter.
people who want a plush version of me. Maybe 50, maybe 100.
I think it'd be
500
fun to
push.
find
But there
out.
might be one that wants 500 for reasons you don't need to ask questions about.
just
That's
one.
true. That's true.
Friends,
there's a
this
rich
is the capitalism
drug smuggler
portion
market.
of the show.
You know,
Oh yeah.
try to sell it to mules. You could do that.
I did have, so I used to sell some of my original comic book art. Every now and then somebody would want to buy it, and then there was
Yeah.
a guy who was a creative
That's
director for the
different.
WB in Denmark. He emailed me and said, "Do you have any more?" It was for Hellboy. He said, "Do you have any more Hellboy comic book art?" And I said, "Here's exactly what I have left in my inventory." And he's like, "I'll take it."
Cool.
And I was like, "Really?" And he cleared me out. And I was like, "I'll give you a deal because that customs is going to be steep." And I told him what the customs was, and he was like, "Yeah, no problem."
Yeah, but that was for Hellboy, right? That's like a beloved.
Yeah, but it was
Character.
mine, so it was like,
Well,
Not
it's
quite
still
as
based
good,
on.
but-
Yeah, but it's still
That's
a
right.
thing. Like
I
there's
banked
not
off that.
there's not a big Matt Binder universe.
Well,
fan
you
base
need to
out
make
there.
a
I
show.
don't sell
You need to
yourself
have
short.
like a cartoon, and then that's when the merchandise flies off the shelves.
Do not
Yes.
sell
Right.
yourself
and
short.
if they're not
So we
selling,
gotta just do that first. First we gotta go through the whole process of creating an animated series about me.
You're
Very
halfway
simple.
there.
And then market
I've
it
done
like
3
crazy.
cartoons.
Yeah,
First of
market
all,
it.
I've
Oh,
done
right.
3 cartoons with your ass in them. Haven't paid you. a
Wait, you
cent.
did? There's the one I know that's fantastic that you sent me. But
And then I
what's the other
reused
two?
the animation in 2 others. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Send them to me.
Yeah.
I didn't see them.
You are a background character in the wrestling stream that I did called Fight Night.
What?
And yeah. And
I didn't know
think,
that. Send them to me, please.
Yeah, well, I'll toss you at this though. I think I have an easier answer than the animated series. If they don't sell, they can just relabel them as Dave Grohl plushies, and
Oh, that's good.
donezo.
All right. All right.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I'll consider. But you want?
What would socialist
You guys want to talk
plushies
about?
look like?
They'd be free.
Yeah. See, that's more like me to
There'd
send
be
it
a
out to
commune
people
that
because
would-
of the
that would
goodness
make
of my
them
heart
en
and lose
masse.
money.
Why do these reek like weed, but disappointingly have no weed? Hippies.
Hippies.
We could talk about whatever you want, Matt.
Yeah. Did you guys have anything on the docket? Anything?
No,
specific?
we just. There's no
I
docket.
have
For a
an
guest?
announcement at some point.
Go
All
ahead.
right, why don't you-
What's the
you wanna do that
announcement?
It's
now?
not that big of
uh,
an announcement. Like
have you got?
don't fucking don't do this like whoa I don't
no!
Don't bury
people
the
breathing
lead.
down my neck.
What is it?
Well, for those of you that don't know, and you should know this by now, so if you don't know, I'm disappointed in you on an intimate level. But I am a Doom speedrunner, and next month I'm going to be doing a bunch of Doom speedruns and what I call March Movie Madness.
Oh, okay.
And in the speedrunning community for Doom, we call anything that's a full game run a movie, because it's long, like hour, 2-hour runs.
Feature length.
Feature length. I mean, it doesn't have to be. You
Absolutely.
can do like a 30-minute movie, if you're really good.
Short film.
So. But I'm doing March Movie Madness. My goal is to do 25 complete Doom speedruns of different level sets, all in 1 month. So
Are these your own wads, or
That's
how does
rad.
it work?
I might
Oh, it's a
run
speed
one of
run.
mine, but the rest are going to be ones over the years. Yeah, so like some going back as far as 1996, I think is the oldest one on the docket, all the way up until releases from this year. So
Do people do this? Or this seems exceptional to me. Like, it does not seem easy. Like, maybe somebody would do like one of these and be like, all right, I'm done with this. How do you do several?
Oh, well, it's just a matter of like I'm already good at the game, so I just got to learn different level sets. So it's just
an
like
endurance thing, though, right? Like,
oh, well, yeah, the longest speed run I've ever done was like 20 hours. So, I mean,
Woof.
I'm very seasoned in sitting on my ass playing video games for an excessive amount
Is
of
your
time
ass
and not
flat?
moving.
Is it flattened from?
But
Well,
like
I
how-
haven't
I mean,
I
that's
haven't done that in a
fast.
while, so my ass is unflattened, thankfully.
okay, a 20-hour speed run is how much time at the standard speed?
What?
Okay, so a speed run, you're playing way faster than most people would play the game, right? So how
I
much
guess.
The
game
point is to
time
get through
are
it as
you?
quickly as possible, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
It's like a race. Like
So
to
you're
beat your previous
compressing
record.
40 hours into 20, or you're compressing like 10 into 2? How's it work?
I mean, yeah, so like, you know, if you compare like a first time playthrough to something, I mean, it's hard to say because everyone's first time playthrough is going to be different. So,
Yeah, mine was horrible. Andrea and I played one of her Doom wads for Christmas over the holidays.
remember.
and
I do a
That's-
series
I
called
tried
A
to
War on
watch.
Christmas where you murder a bunch of Santa Clauses.
it's a whole
And
bunch of
Letterhack
random
hasn't played
Santas.
Doom in like 20 years and did a live stream playing it, and it was very precious. Let's just put it that way.
The last video game I played was Doom in like 92, I think we determined, on somebody's PC.
1993 is when it came out. So
93
if you
then,
played
yeah.
Doom in 92, you're a time traveler.
It was
So-
93,
that? Oh.
definitely.
Well,
And-
unfortunately, my life is all Doom, but not the game.
Turns
Yeah,
out Matt
oh.
was friends with Romero.
Oh,
We could
God.
talk about that. The what they call it, the apocalypse, or what
The
was it called?
apocalypse?
No, that glacier.
Collapse? Oh, the West
Doomsday
Antarctic,
Glacier.
the Doomsday Glacier, the West Antarctic ice shelf, the melting,
That
but
Bill
the
Nye
Greenland,
said,
the Greenland one, yeah,
Bill Nye
Bill
said
Nye.
Southern Florida would be gone.
yes. Well,
He said it would be instant 19 inches of water.
it's happening
Ooh.
slowly.
So there's
He's-
upsides,
It's
you're saying.
happening.
He said if
There's
you see,
upsides.
well, those folks
Sorry.
are going to move inland if they can. And that means South Carolina becomes Florida, if you ask me. But I think that, the way he was saying it was that in terms of like
Right.
snow, you see several inches accumulate, and okay, big deal. But when it's water, that's in addition to, it's like an increase in volume. Like there wasn't already a lot of snow out there, and then another night. So like people think of it in this really weird way, like, oh, that's not a big deal. It's a big deal.
If
It's
your
gonna be
home
bad.
floods in Florida, I understand Ben Shapiro will buy the. Oh wait, no, who is it? Who's the guy?
I
Was it
think he
Shapiro?
said
I think
that,
it was all
yeah.
of them.
That
but
was Ben
I'm pretty
Shapiro,
sure
yeah.
every
Just
single
moved.
one
That
of
was Ben
them
Shapiro.
has said that talking point, but I think Ben Shapiro most famously did it.
That's dumb enough that I would have thought Rubin, but fair enough. Ben Shapiro is
All
just
right.
Dave Rubin, but faster, and thus he gets credit for being smarter.
Well, what do you know about
Fair.
it, Sandy? Have you
About
mean,
the glaciers in Antarctica?
the Doomsday Glacier?
Well, the Doomsday
specifically?
Glacier, but there's the West Antarctic ice shelf. What do I know about it? Okay.
I mean, it's
have
been melting
a
since
s-
the 40s, apparently, and
well,
now
we've
they're
been,
like,
yeah. Well, it's hard to even start to go into this. Just suffice it to say, between the Arctic and the Antarctic and the melt up, the Arctic is extremely important because that's happening. The Greenland also, it's losing, and it's fresh water that's going into the saltwater ocean. That's also creating havoc. Just
what do you
watch.
even do? What do you do? How
What
do
do
you
you
prevent
do?
a
We're not
glacier?
going to prevent it, Matt.
There's
It's
nothing
happening.
to do. Yeah.
We're in collapse, Matt. I mean,
So-
I just,
Letterhack
my
thinks
whole
we're gonna
channel's
stop the
about-
apocalypse. This fucking
that's what I'm
guy.
saying.
Everyone point and
No,
laugh.
he knows. Matt knows.
Like Ben
It's-
Shapiro
we
kind of
just-
has
we
a point.
minimize the harm, I guess.
we
Yeah,
live
like
our
what
lives.
do you do?
We live our lives to the fullest, and you do local action, and you keep where you live. You get involved in things where you live because that's what we have.
But if it's
Well, what if I live
catastrophic-
in South Florida and that shit's gonna be gonzo in
It's
10
not
minutes?
happening tomorrow.
Well, what if it does?
It's not happening like that.
feels like the
When
kind of
is
thing
it-
they
when's
need
it
to start
predicted
prepping
now?
for.
As of now.
Well, okay.
Legally speaking, if you buy property in South Florida and then it disappears, like,
Okay.
what are the government records Do they like just scrub it from the database? Like this address no longer exists? Like how do you do that?
Probably. I mean, it's. I'm sure it's not a new scenario entirely. There's
It
been
becomes Atlantis.
homes that have certainly gone under water or been withered away and on land at the end of a cliff that just is no longer there because of regular erosion.
Watched it happen.
So
Spring Lake,
they
Michigan.
probably have that whole. It's probably not something out of the ordinary, honestly. Like I'm not saying it's
I
a
gotta look
regular
into it.
occurrence, but
Well,
they probably put it.
The first things that are happening, if you've noticed, are the islands, like Marshall Islands, and the island people. They have been begging for money when the IPCC reports come out. Then they had the COPs, the Council of the Parties. This year, the joke because it was Saudi Arabia fossil fuel run, but they have been asking for compensation through the loss and damage fund that countries have signed on to help them in mitigation efforts from their islands becoming engulfed. I mean, they're going to lose their fresh water first. They're not going to have water, So that's where it's the most serious right now. Is the island nations. And if you think we have a crisis at the border now, we're having an internal crisis with Americans being displaced already. And so we have internal climate migrants in the United States. But they're just migrating from state to state.
We should come up with now how we are going to quickly and accurately communicate to people whose fault this is. We should start saying, just so you know, South Florida residents, when you lose your property, it's the Republicans that stole it from you. Republicans and
so
God.
Much more
So
complicated.
you choose who you're going to be angry with, but there's only one you can vote out of office, unless you're a cardinal.
Yeah, but it's so complicated.
I don't think they can vote God out of.
That's true.
I don't think.
I don't
cardinals
know
have
from
that
religion.
power.
God is a dictator. We have to go to other means.
I don't really think a dictator can do that, honestly. God is sort of untouchable, if you believe.
That's fair.
Which I
That's
don't,
fair.
but
No, but a
if you do.
dictator in the
No.
United States can take every right away from every woman, and that is coming.
True.
It's already happening. That is another, thing that people aren't thinking about. There's so many issues going on concurrently. It makes us really a bit overwhelmed.
I think part of
There's a lot
helping with
going
that,
on.
in addition to fighting as hard as we can against these things, is also to prepare the public for who's at fault for when it happens. I thought that everybody in America did a great job of realizing that it was the Republicans that killed Roe v. Wade. And now every time, this IVF thing, any time this stuff happens, the public is able to understand. They might not agree, they might still be brainwashed, but the message is there and we're working from that ground. I think it's the same thing with global warming. We should be talking to Republicans, be like, did your insurance just go up? Yeah, the party you vote for did that. You're sick of your homes disappearing? Republicans are doing that right now. Did you miss winter? Where'd that go? Well, the Republicans took it.
I like the idea
The
of
Republicans took winter. I mean, I would like to
Literally
see a
did.
fucking
There's a
animated
comic, Matt.
movie like that.
But I like
How the
the idea-
Republicans stole winter.
Don't you like the idea of making it illegal and holding accountable the fossil fuel industry for funding disinformation
Yes.
campaigns and putting all the
Yes.
talking
Yes.
points at fuel denial, and then at the same time, like
Fossil fuel
nationalize fossil fuels and oil and gas, right? And there
Absolutely.
are a lot of things you can do to
Or try
slow
to do.
global warming.
I'm down to nationalize oil,
know.
but gas, I don't know.
I think and I mean, like,
I'm quite
not
a
an
bit
expert on
more
it, but-
pessimistic on
but
that.
the
unfortunately.
trying, like the struggle is in getting politicians elected that would actually like entertain these ideas, right? These notions. But like there are a lot of things that you can do in the spirit of slowing global warming. It's happening no matter what, I'm afraid. But like you can, or I mean, as far as what I read, but you can definitely slow it down and buy some time. And I don't know, until the
I think
Federation
make-
of Planets arrive and give us warp technology, and then everything will be fine.
Warp speed
One
to
of my
another
favorite
planet instead of shit on ours.
anti-climate change things that I think is likely, the most likely outcome to combat climate change, I think is going to be nuclear winter. Because that's really the only thing we got to hope for here.
So you
is
think
that
that's
the
why-
bombs drop and
And
we
the
get some
bunker
little-
babies go underground.
Yeah, they can come out
Yeah.
and then they can read books about how fucked up we were, and
Yeah.
then they can learn from our mistakes and form a legion of some kind under some guy named Kaisar, hopefully, and then they can do what's right with the world.
Matt, when you found the new California, whatever, I would like to join your post-apocalyptic squad of raiders.
Okay.
Sure, yeah. I think
Got hockey
we'd
pads I could distribute.
right, we'd have some fun. As of the
I have hockey sticks, but I will not distribute them.
You can strap me to the hood of your car. I don't play guitar. I could do ukulele. If we have an
you'll be
electric
the
ukulele, I'll shred
you'll
that.
be my ukulele guy. Yes.
Yeah.
But we'll still put the big speakers behind you with the ukulele.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Great movie, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
nuclear winter always reminds me of volcanic winter. What's Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, wrote that during a volcanic winter. Do you know this story? Anybody?
I
No.
don't actually.
Please educate me. I'm
Like-
illiterate.
It's a German tradition to tell ghost stories on Christmas Eve. And it was summer, I believe, and temperatures dropped and ash was falling, and because of a volcano. And they were like, "Oh, reminds us of Christmas." And Mary Shelley was hanging out at whose house was it? Some baron's
Percy Shelley.
house,
Surely.
huh?
Surely.
No, some
Percy's.
some baron who I think first wrote the popular story of a vampire. So, like, essentially, Dracula and Frankenstein were written at the same time.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Bram
weird?
Stoker. Yeah.
No, it wasn't specifically Dracula. It was like a vampire. I'm sure there's people in the chat that know what I'm talking about way better than I do. But
Fascinated, but do go on.
she said, "No, or like the people hanging out at this house for like this long weekend or retreat or whatever were like, let's tell ghost stories." So she came up with Frankenstein.
All right, I have
And it
a
was Lord
personal
Byron.
story.
That's who it was.
Lord, oh, that's good. I have a
Baron
my
Byron would have
nephews
been better.
And my nieces and nephews and I occasionally meet on we did this once, but we said we were going to do it again. Meet on Halloween, the eve of, to write spooky stories in that tradition, which is the only reason I know any of those names.
Yeah, it's
Classic
pretty cool,
mischief
though.
night tradition of writing stories.
The
Yeah.
volcanic winter thing threw me off. I didn't know that was a thing.
Well,
That's
the
insane.
difference between the volcanic winter and nuclear winter is the radiation. So
Sure,
it
sure.
certainly is there's a big difference in the
I'm in favor
composition of what comes out of a
radiation.
volcano.
I will sign up to be irradiated. I want to see how many arms I can grow before I die in a very painful
Andrea's such a
explosion.
doomer.
I mean, if I'm going to die in an apocalypse, and I'm only 27, so I'm
That's
committed.
right.
I'm going to be in the apocalypse at some point. It's going to happen in my lifetime, so I'm ready. So I want to die in an interesting way. I don't want to die in a fucking car crash or die from a disease. I want to die like growing an arm out of my chest, and then like fucking my brain melts out of my eyeballs. Like that would be fun. I would give me an experience here. You know, come on now.
Hills have eyes.
Sure, I'm in. Give me anything interesting. Something I've never, like something I can't think of. You know, if I can think about it, it's not cool enough.
Wow.
Yeah, Mary
Matt-
Shelley was 18 when she wrote Frankenstein.
Wow.
Oh,
And what are we doing with
That's
our goddamn
crazy.
lives? Jeez.
And when it was
what
published,
the f- have I been doing?
it was anonymous because women weren't allowed to.
Right. Because women.
Well,
huh?
obviously.
It sounds like
Am I right,
like
people?
And in
Like a- like a-
2025, because women again. Oh, and I did want to mention.
We're about to make a I don't know, like a man show type joke or something. Because women.
Oh, here's Kowalski. Kowalski from Nebraska says in the early 1800s there was a phenomenon called the year without a summer due to a massive volcanic eruption. That was the last time a man-made famine struck the planet. Yep.
And people are looking at ways now with solar radiation management being studied, and there's a mirrors project using mirrors, which is the least environmentally damaging project. I am not for solar radiation management, and that discussion is actually literally happening. And it's not just in academia; it is businesses. You start that, and that's not good. That has to be done completely. And there's another aspect. There's also the shipping industry. When the sulfates were taking out of shipping fuel, we lost a cooling effect. And I'm not a fossil fuel supporter shill, just saying we lost a cooling effect because the aerosols, it's called the aerosol masking effect, actually went away. So we have a lot of issues with those type, putting aerosols, that's what they are, aerosols in the air. Mirrors is not. So I'll do a show. I've been wanting to do a show with Dr. Yi Tao, who is the Mirrors lead principal investigator on that project. It's actually pretty interesting. So
I'm sure you have the best interview guests for that stuff.
well, I'm a science and climate doomer channel. What can I say?
I mean,
bring-
it's
I also
not
run
all
a Doom
doomer
channel.
though.
I know yours is doom in a different way. My mother called me a nihilist the other day. I said, I'm not a nihilist. I'm just not an optimist. I'm a pragmatist.
I wish I was a nihilist. Like, man, life would be so much easier. Fuck.
You're doing the good work over there, Sandy. Seriously.
I
Okay.
agree.
Well, it's been 7 years doing it.
This might be
Jeez.
too dark of a term, but a few people in the chat have recommended that
I'm ready.
or asked if we wanted to talk about Bush now.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I would.
Yeah.
Can we
It's,
start
Can
by
I-
s- get,
Can
well,
I
we
just
should,
say one really quick thing
Well-
before we do that?
I'm throwing out a disclaimer before
Okay.
Paper,
anything
scissors
else,
for who
before
wants
the
to say
topic
first.
even comes up.
All right.
Just want to say that this show, and I'm speaking for everyone, does not endorse, encourage, or support this kind of protest and self-harm. Think of
agree.
something else to do with your
I
time.
agree.
So
I
I don't know if that I feel like that's fair to say,
That's
but
a good disclaimer.
It's
All right.
it's sort of like incredible that you have to say that though. Like
It is.
I've never seen the reaction to what Aaron Bushnell did for any other scenario where someone
Has self.
self-immolated before. This is it feels like it's meant to really demean him and what he did, honestly. Like I've never seen anyone be like, we're about to talk about, the principled those Buddhist monks who protested in Vietnam against how the regime was treating them. The ruling regime was
Khmer
treating
Rouge.
them, and that monk very famously self-immolated, sat there in a meditative state and never seen anyone say before we
Well-
discuss, before we don't do
mean-
this.
But back
Like-
then, people were not exactly thrilled that behavior happened. I remember it. I was a kid, but I remember it.
I think that
We're just trying not
For-
to get banned
but
here.
then-
Let's just
well,
But
but
then,
for
Yeah,
better
there you
or
go.
worse,
I totally get what you. I
YouTube
totally, but
is
I get why you were doing.
I
it.
see your
but also,
point, yes.
there's
Yeah.
people online who are treating this like by talking about it or saying what a brave or principled act this was. You are promoting it and encouraging others to do the same. And I've
no,
never
I don't agree.
ever seen that sort of discussion around people who've done this. Like there was that the Arab Spring started when a market seller in Tunisia self-immolated because of the crackdown on what the authoritarian crackdowns on him just trying to sell his wares. And he did that. He self-immolated, and it set off the Arab Spring. I never saw anyone poo-poo what he did and have to, come out and make this sort of declaration that this is something that people are going to try to copycat or whatever. Like that's never been a thing with this form of extreme protest because it is extremely rare. It is not something that copycats do because it is a.
Well, it's like the third in a row, though, right? Isn't it?
There was another woman who did this late last year. We don't know much about her. She was
They
also
buried the
protesting.
fuck out of that story.
That's what
Right.
there's a whole discussion around
But
how these
Aaron
stories
Bushnell
are handled
did
that I
not-
think is
I-
interesting.
Aaron Bushnell did not see what that woman did and then go, I'm gonna do this.
Sure.
Like it is.
You're right there.
Right. It is it's an extreme act. There's no doubt about it. And I see people who wanted to again downplay his why he did it or the stated reasons why he did it by saying he had a mental illness or something like that. He was mentally ill. You have to be mentally ill to he was
I don't
listen,
know about that.
without a doubt, you have to certainly be in a certain mental state to decide to do this. I wouldn't call it mentally ill, though. Like, certainly it's not something that just anyone can go out and do. I certainly will not be self-immolating, for example. I'm sure no one else on this program will do that.
Not intentionally,
no
but I may.
guarantees.
But you certainly do need to be in a certain mental state to be able to do that. But he was very clear in why he did it. There is posts online, on his Facebook right before he, that linked to the stream shortly before he went out and went to the Israeli embassy in Washington and committed his protest act. He was very clear in the video right before he did it, and to me, the utmost proof, the highest level of proof that he knew exactly what his reasoning for doing this was. Well, and I was amazed in that video that he was able to do this while his body was literally burning. His last words as he is on fire is "Free Palestine" over and over and over again. And that honestly was stunning that he did that. I mean, there was no
Over and
doubt
over.
a fight with his body to be able to say that as his skin is literally, disintegrating and his body is burning. I mean,
I still wish I
it's-
could have talked him out of it. Like yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
no,
I get
listen,
it,
Like,
right?
listen, it is to listen. Brave acts can, in some people's opinions, be stupid. Like there
I
are
just
stunt
don't want
people.
anyone to
there,
have to
there's,
do it.
There are
Right.
I don't think
Hurt
no one
themselves.
has to do that. No one has to do that.
Or to feel they have.
Certainly, I think for some people though, like there's also this discussion about suicide and mental illness, and it's a bizarre thing to hear too, as someone who thought that people, progressives generally, the left and even more center than that, anyone considers themselves progressive. I thought everyone was understanding of this basic belief to die with dignity. And the idea that someone who is of sound mind can't choose to end their life, I thought was something I believe in. Someone who does not want to live and is not mentally ill and is not, they should have that right, to do that. It's allowed in certain countries. I believe in Canada, if you are, if you're sick, and you're proven to not be mentally ill, you can choose to die with dignity and
You
end
can
your
do that in
life.
Oregon. Oregon has that law.
Right.
My brother lives
Right.
there, and I keep telling him, I'll be there.
Right.
Because if I get sick, I'm not being a burden on anyone.
I
And-
also
and
think
listen-
that a lot of people, like, they don't give a shit about suicide. Like, most of the people who are talking about, like, oh, blah, 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 like, they don't give a fuck about suicides. They don't give a shit about the suicide epidemic going on. They don't care about any of this. Like, they just want to react in a way to, like, just, like, downplay the event so that, like, people just shove it under the rug. Like, no one actually gives a fuck about suicide in the mainstream press, let alone Republicans. Do you think Republicans or, like, even Democrats give a fuck about this issue? Like, of course not, right? So they're all just, like, hand-wringing about, like, some moral virtue.
Right.
I think it
Like
was
personally, I believe, like my personal belief is, because I don't believe in an afterlife or anything like that. So my personal belief is we're on this planet as an individual for, in the big picture, a very short amount of time. And so I personally would like to be here as long as possible and make the most of it, because I will have alternity to not be here. But some people don't feel that way. Some people don't want to be here, or some people decide that they want to give their life for a certain cause they believe in. Now, obviously, you can try to talk someone out of that. I think, again, my personal belief is that their skill or their time here is better served doing something while they're here. But that's also my personal belief. Like, you can't put your own beliefs on someone else. Now, again, if someone is mentally ill and if not of sound mind, and they're not thinking things through for various reasons, like people do try to commit suicide if they are mentally unstable or unwell or have a mental illness. Obviously, you make sure that they don't do that if that's the case. But you can't. I don't think it's right to tell someone who is completely of sound mind that they can't choose to do what they want to with their life, and that includes, the lack of living as well.
I think
I wouldn't
another
tell him not
aspect.
to. I just say I don't personally endorse it. Like it's idealistic, but I envision a world where everyone wants to be here and we're all happy and healthy, and that's what I'm fighting for. But I honor his
also-
sacrifice for sure.
Like when it comes to
mean,
mental illness, like the definition of like what a mental illness is like written by doctors in the fucking like upper echelons of academia that like don't really have an attachment to people that are different at all, right? And like the like original like doctrines of what mental illness are and why they were even defined in the first place was just to like put people in slave camps without like them committing a crime, right? Because slavery is illegal, but for committing a crime. So how do we find a loophole? Well, we just declare them mentally ill, and then they created books and rules about what mental illness is and what's not, right? So it's like, it's really impossible to even judge whether or not someone's of sound mind or not. Like we can play we can read their Reddit history or whatever and their Discord server posts and their Facebook stuff, and like we can conclude that they were of sound mind, but like ultimately, what does that even mean? To be of sound mind, like what does it mean to be mentally ill? Like,
obviously, if someone is suffering through depression, they're not thinking in their usual thought processes. There are people who obviously have, wanted to commit suicide because they are suffering from some sort of disease or illness, and then once they get help, they decide that's actually not what they wanted to do, and they were able to think things through and not do that. There's also a subset of people who do go through the motions of suicide, but don't actually, go through with it. And it's really just like them trying to communicate to people that they need help. But this is a guy who is very clear, and this is not like, cutting a piece, with a blade, slashing your wrist or something. This is an extreme act that you know what you're gonna go through. You know what's gonna happen. There is little to no chance you are surviving this, and then to on top of that be very clear with your words that you are doing it for a reason, and you're verbalizing what that reason is. I don't see how you claim this guy wasn't thinking things through. Again, to just do this, period. Anyone who's ever done this clearly is in a mental state that some of us will never understand or can never get into ourselves. There's clearly something there that is, makes them different than others. But to call it an illness and say that's not something that they would have done if they were thinking straight is the meaning of what of what they decided to do.
It also
That is the point.
stigmatizes mental illness.
Yeah.
That is the point of self-immolation. It's very specifically not a pleasant way to go. It's not a quick way to go. It's a brutal death, and that is chosen to make a point. And well, for the record, I disagree with just on a sociopathic level. I disagree with the strategy of it. I would vastly prefer to have somebody in the Air Force that is not going to bomb Democrats for Republicans and yada yada. I would have preferred a General Bushnell one day to say, no, Mr. President, I am not going to assist in whatever. I cannot deny, and I will say it here, this guy will go down in history as amongst the best of us, even if I disagree with his tactics. When people look back at America at this time and they ask, did you all agree with the murder? Did you all, were you all complicit? We will be able to point to some of us, Aaron Bushnell at the top of that list, saying, no, we did not. And for that, I'm grateful.
I mean, the fact it's also who he was, though, that makes it. You know, I think people
Yes.
think that the live streaming of it is what makes it so, you know,
Disturbing?
got the media,
Air
got the
Force.
Yeah.
media attention. But I don't think that's it
Christian.
even. I mean, obviously it helped immensely. But I think if someone who wasn't an active member of the military did this and streamed it, it wouldn't have got the same attention. I think the fact that he was in the Air Force, and again, I know he wasn't like a pilot and fighting actively. He was like a you know, IT or cybersecurity technician or something. But the fact that he was an
Engineer, yeah.
active member of the military, did this in uniform, that's why he's getting the attention. And I think he knew that. It's very clear to me that he mentions, you know, his status. And why it was weighing, that extra bit was weighing down on him right before he did it in the video. That, you know, he felt like as a member of the military, U.S. military, that they were actively participating here. You know, so I think, you know, I think it can't be copied because him being who he was makes this as newsworthy as it was and got the attention on him and the issue that he was advocating for, and that is what the genocide in Gaza, Israel's genocide
Right.
in Gaza.
And the right wing is calling him, the right wing is calling it Biden's, this is what Biden's military does. Shit you not.
So do you think?
I mean,
his-
honestly, I think the right wing's reaction's been a lot less concerning to me than liberal reaction to this. It was to belittle him, demean him, call him mentally ill, mock
I
him.
haven't seen
I've
it.
honestly seen
yeah.
seen
I haven't
much
seen
worse
that,
from.
but
I've honestly seen much worse from Democrats about this than I have Republicans.
I have
Republicans,
not.
of course.
honestly.
Well,
Republicans,
Democrats
of
don't want to
course-
confront the reality that their guy is the one fucking doing all
Yeah.
this horse shit.
they're upset that it's getting as much attention as it is, but I wonder, what do you guys think? Did did he make his point? Was it?
I mean, I think he
Was it
certainly made a
worth it,
point,
or-
and I'll say this: the attention he got through this act was a lot more than I thought he would get. I think in the current culture we live in, thanks to, you know, the internet and, you know, everything moves so quick now, I think the act of self-immolation has lost a lot of its power. People are just more desensitized now than ever before. The news cycle moves too quickly. I'm actually shocked by how much attention it did get. I think it deserves the attention. Don't get me wrong. I'm just being straight up and honest that there's a lot of things that deserve attention. We move on from things so quickly now. Like, to me, I'm still shocked. You know, I think when someone dies, I think that's a big deal. And here we
Right.
just move on when 30,000 people in Gaza are killed. Like, it's just another, you know, just
Yeah,
another few
it's-
months,
The
just another
story,
week. It's insane to me how quickly we move on, and that depresses me, honestly, when you think about it.
But there was also a climate protester that did this. I think it was 2 years ago. Help me out, chat. It was in the UK. And did any of you know about him?
I know
I mean,
of
2 years ago, I can't deal with last week, really.
Yeah, I've read about a couple of these examples as well in the United States and the UK of environmentalists doing that kind of thing. And like, I think one guy did something similar on the Supreme Court steps like a year, 2 years ago.
Like inside the Supreme Court, I read about that. But I think one of the reasons I'm real appreciative of alternative media and online media, like the Rational National had a great video out today showing how he talking about the media's reaction to it and the surprise that there's a reaction to it, because normally they would just bury the story or just ignore it completely. But like, I like that there's a discussion around how it's received by the media and how much attention it gets, because this should be getting a lot of attention. Everyone should have dropped everything and said, okay, we need to talk about this. And they almost felt like they had to, or people were like, oh my God, CNN brought it up. I'm shocked, right? And so the discussion around that, I think, is very informative. One of the images I think is going to stand out when I think of this from now on, for the rest of my life, when I think of this moment, is the police officer with his gun out.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That is, to me, that is like,
Yeah.
do you want to know what, do you want to see a sign of the times? Do you want to know what we're fucking living with here? Look at this cop.
I saw someone refer to that as like a matrix malfunction, you know, like
Yeah.
they're not even a human. They're just like a fucking robot running
a
on a
video game
script that's not
glitch.
working,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it's like he's saying, get on the ground, get on the ground. That's all they know how to do. And I'll say it again. Every time these guys do something, another police officer atrocity, they say, oh, it's just, we got to retrain them. It's a lack of training. We got to fix this little thing.
Yeah. And
All
the
they
cop
have been
city.
Or the
trained
killer.
to do is carry a weapon, draw down, and yell, get on the ground. Look at the Acorn cop. Like, this is how many examples? How many examples do we need before somebody does something about that? Like, it's that's going to stick with me forever, as the cop with his gun out. And I think it was the security guard with the fire extinguisher saying, well, I don't need a gun here. You know, like, the fuck are you doing? I'm trying to put this out.
I think I read that it wasn't even a cop. He was one of the Israeli embassy security guards, which just, to me, adds an even
Really?
a bigger
Level of irony.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Holy cow.
it's clear that, you know, whether
Well,
he was
they
a cop
train the
or,
cops, I think, don't they? The Israeli
Why
Right.
is an
Yes.
Israeli
Yes.
security officer pointing a gun at
They
an
train our
active
cops.
military personnel in the U.S.?
well,
That sounds like, you know,
there was a popular Israel account, like an anonymous Israel account, like Mossad IL or something like that on X, that took that quoted a tweet with a photo of Aaron Bushnell on fire, and said, "Look, our enemies kill ourselves." And then they had to delete the tweet because they realized, after enough people were replying to them, that this is a popular Israel account saying that a U.S. Soldier is his enemy, and they were, I guess that's a wrong look for, and again, I think that speaks to the symbolism that I think Aaron Bushnell knew that he was, I don't think he realized what people were going to say about him or whatever, but the symbolism in general of him being an active military. U.S. military member. I think,
Do we know if he left some kind of manifesto or writings, or has
No,
that
I
been-
don't.
It was
I
nothing?
did.
live stream.
I did hear that
That was
he
it?
had planned this all and had left his belongings to people. Like, there's a will. Like, he left his cats with his neighbor, and whatever his assets are, he left with individuals.
I think his savings account went to Gazan children. I think, I'm pretty sure, in the will.
That's. I did not know that. That's
You asked, did he accomplish anything? I think he demonstrated intentionally that there are Americans who care, and I think unintentionally, whether he was progressive or not, that progressives do not have a plan for victory. I hope to change that latter impression. I hope people start using different tactics, but I can't stress enough the when you talk about joining the military and wondering if you'll have the courage to sacrifice everything for something you believe in, I think basically my whole generation hasn't had to ask that question. They've mostly been asked the question, will you gun down somebody who's way less armed than you are? Aaron Bushnell answered the question. I have a tremendous amount of respect for this person. And I agree. It got more eyes on it than I would have ever imagined. I still don't think it's a winning strategy, but I respect the sand of this guy.
Right.
It exposes so many weak spots.
Yes.
Like unintentional, even on their part, I'm sure. But like weak spots in the media, weak spots in law enforcement, more weak spots in so-called lefties, right? And there's a lot of we need to toughen up some of these areas,
learn.
fill in the gaps.
We you know, some of what we know about medical science came from experiments that nobody would sign off on these days, and we don't pretend like we didn't learn what we learned from them. So while I don't want to encourage anybody to behave like Bushnell, let's still look at what he did and look at what we learned. We certainly got what Israel's opinion is of the United States. They do not give a damn. We certainly learned that Democrats will behave exactly as Republicans when they are confronted with these situations. They will lie. They will be heartless. They will continue to shock us by the fact that they will not have a bottom to the moral well.
Well, once
Yeah, there's a
Democrats
good
just let
bottom
COVID
to the
destroy the
moral
entire
well.
country, like I just gave up on Democrats. Like they'll just do anything. Like getting sick 12 times
Yeah.
a year and killing every like grandma on site is totally fine for Democrats. So, of course, Gazans being
Democrats-
murdered are fine. Like the grandmas dying from COVID, that doesn't affect someone. How does someone dying across the earth affect a Democrat? Like they don't give a shit about any of this.
Democrats are Republicans from 10 years ago. That's it.
That's
That's all they've been since Clinton.
No,
Did
the
you guys-
overarching issue is is the ecological and climate crisis. That is the overarching issue.
Did you see Donald James X's comment about 150 cop city like facilities around the country
Yeah,
will be
and
under the rich people's
That goes
policy?
back earlier. Someone made a comment, lady, we're already living in 2025 to me. And I'm like, okay. So then you look at the cop cities and you say, oh, and we're not even under that regime yet. And
yeah,
this
most of this
what's
stuff is still
happening.
being built and like projected, but like, yeah, use 10 years out, you have 150 like fucking like police compounds. You got like President, whoever the fuck, Don Jr., you know, and he's like, just like, yeah, just click a button and then like, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you just have these institutions that are able to train like neo-Nazis essentially is what they are, because cops are just Nazis. Like,
Have you
there's
seen
no
this?
difference.
Been
They're
there?
training people to protect the rich in the bunkers.
I haven't seen this map specifically, but I've heard about this. That
So-
there's a
Renee
Go ahead.
Renee Johnston. I
She's
interviewed her just the other day on Monday. She has a show called Saturdays with Renee on Black Power Media's YouTube channel, which obviously comes on Saturdays. She was asked by the National Lawyers Guild to attend a webinar last weekend, or maybe it's the weekend before. I can't even remember. But she had done a ton of research. She has like a 3-page spreadsheet, which is at the bottom of this webpage. This is her site. Here's the actual National Lawyers Guild webinar right here. You can watch the whole thing. Her segment's at about 20 minutes in. You can go state by state here. Yellow is no known projects. These are basically places where nobody is. Green is planning and assessment. Orange is approved for construction. Red is under construction. Blue is a facility that's open. And purple is multiple phases. You click on these flags, it takes you directly to, it tells you where exactly the square footage and how much money it costs. This one in Redmond, Oregon, $49 million, 43,000 square feet. You click on it, it takes you right to their website, tells you everything that you need to know about it. Isn't that amazing? So she put together this interactive map. It's being updated all the time. She's actually going to start adding to it solutions, what you can do, next steps, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
hell yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
local because these planning boards are approving it.
Yeah,
and they
because
have,
they
like,
want the
international
fucking
sponsorship.
illustrious like job like growth, whatever the fuck, and then they can maybe one of them will get the name on the fucking center of Cop City, like whatever number 75 can be called Councilman Shit for Brains.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
like
like-
Yeah.
we were talking about it. We were like, why would like Dunkin' Donuts and UPS sponsor Cop City in Atlanta. Why? And then it
Well,
was
Dunkin'
like, well,
Donuts. I mean, come on now.
I know there's jokes we can make there, but it also has international sponsorship and funding. And I
Yeah.
think that it's just that, this kind of thing is very profitable.
I have a question. Did I forgot if one of your guests had mentioned, did they, I had read that these facilities were also going to be used for training disaster preparedness
Yeah.
professionals and emergency management professionals. So is that true? Or is it really just a guise? Or,
It's just like that's just the life of the mother type situation. Like
In
they have
some
put in some
cases, yeah.
asterisk to make it seem like it's not some crazy ass bullshit.
Yeah.
And I
It's
know
like,
that
what do
these
you
things-
choose to believe, I guess.
These things
Yeah,
are
well,
approved.
or where's the documentation?
They're approved generally, it looks like, out in the sticks. And it's a training facility for policing, not in the sticks. Isn't that just fitting?
Okay.
I mean,
All
but
right.
when there's that many of them,
Coming
That's-
after anybody
Yeah.
I
who's
mean,
a dissident.
One
wait
of
for
the
next
big problems.
protest.
One of the big problems is that the majority of people in this country don't see an issue really with how
With
the
that.
police act. It's very weird to me. Like I know a lot of people of varying age groups, and no one's ever had a good experience with police. Like
I haven't.
no one. Like, I'm not even talking about like, oh, you committed a crime. I mean, if you're a victim of a crime or you need police assistance, I've never heard of anyone. And this is not me speaking for others. And again, this is relative to the people I know. But no one has had a good experience with police because police don't really serve in the way that we're generally taught that this is what police are supposed to do. Like
They're not public
they're not
servants.
really public servants or community advocates or anything like that. In fact, here in New York City, the vast majority, I don't know about the majority, but a large portion of NYPD don't even live in the city. They live out in Long Island. So they don't even have any ties to the communities that they are supposedly serving. But like, there's
That's
not
huge.
this like blowback. Like we feel like I feel like whenever there's an issue, the solution that's come up with is, oh, just throw more money at the cops. But we've proven time and time again that there's nothing. I mean, it does absolutely nothing.
It doesn't.
Cops don't stop crime. They don't mitigate anything. Their sole purpose, even when functioning semi as they're supposed to, because they never function as they're supposed to, in the way people think they're supposed to function, like you said, a public servant, their role is to show up after something has already happened.
You can't even call
The
them
money-
and say something's going down. They're like, well, call us when it does go down. You know what I mean?
I've heard of people who think they're getting scammed and they're going to meet with or they know they're getting scammed and they got to
Can't
meet
do
with
anything.
somebody and they call the cops to say, well, don't you want to come and see what this person's about to do? They're a criminal. Nope, can't do anything until the scam happens. And even then, they don't do shit. I personally, I've told this story. I mean, it's a very minuscule story, but it just shows like how little they do. What it's been now, like 13 years ago, give or take, I had my car stolen, and I called the cops, not thinking they would help. I knew they wouldn't help, but because the real reason you need cops is for the paperwork, for any legal issues. You know, if my car goes ahead and the person who stole the car goes in and commits a crime using my car, I don't want to be held legally responsible. So I got to
So you
get
make
the
a report.
paperwork that shows
Yeah.
my car was stolen. So I called the cops, knowing they weren't going to do anything. I'm not expecting them to drop everything they're doing and look for my car. But they show up. They say, oh, we'll drive around the block to look for it. They drive around the block. They come back. And then they start interrogating me, assuming that I got drunk the night before, partied too much, and didn't remember where I parked the car.
Oh God.
That's their,
I've
that's
done that.
that's.
Oh, I've had
yeah.
terrible. The last one was I was pulled over in Buffalo, out not far from my daughter's, because I was staying at her house when she went to Europe taking care of her dogs. I was pulled over and pegged as a drug buyer because of the neighborhood she lives in, and they
So
they
sometimes
took
they
me.
get it right.
I was going to my fucking lawyer's office. But they took me out of the car. They planted a crack pipe, a glass pipe in my truck. The female, she takes me out. She pats me up and down. She feels my tits twice. I'm like, what are you going to find the second time that you didn't find the first time? Sorry, I just happen to have two of them. And I mean, it was just like ludicrous, harassing me. I mean, I was, not like some spring chicken.
That's
it's because
insane.
they read my license plate being from Hooterville and figured, oh, well, look at the neighborhood she's in. She's up here buying drugs. And it was pretty disgusting, especially with the crack pipe, which was not mine. It was clean pipe. So I was married at the time. If it was my husband's, it would never have been clean. It was definitely not his. It would have been all full of cake, weed, So the cop takes me over, walks to the sewer, and he goes, well, after they tore my truck apart, takes that crack pipe and puts it on the floor and he stomps on it. And he says, well, don't do it again. They didn't bust me because they had nothing on me and I'm not a stupid moron. So
Was
they
your
pipe?
Don't do what
Yeah.
again? Like,
They
what were
planted
you
the
not
pipe?
supposed to do?
They planted it on me because they couldn't get me for they tried.
As an
They had
excuse to
brand
look
new
for something
crack
else.
pipes to put on
Yes.
people. That's
Are you
Yes.
telling me the cops
Cheektowaga, New
manipulated
York.
evidence?
Sure,
I
he
like
did.
that story.
But they did.
I don't know if I
they didn't
believe
bust
that.
me. Yeah,
my
right.
car. My
and
car
that's
was
not my.
stolen.
Oh my God! I have so many police stories. I'm
My
sorry.
car was
I was a bad
stolen.
girl.
My car got stolen. They said we know right where it is, and I was like, "You do?" And they were like, "Yeah, check it out. There's a mobile locksmith that lives in that house right there." They took me to my car, and they're like, "There's a mobile locksmith that lives in that house right there, and his kids, who are
shit.
minors, are going out, breaking into people's cars. They get the VIN number, and they can download like a keyless entry and get right into your car with an app,
Son of a gun.
and they just drive them home." And they're all parked right here in front of this house. And I was like, "You can't do anything?" And they were like, "We got your car back." And I was like,
I
"Yeah."
mean, we kicked their ass a
did.
little, sure.
And there was tons of, I was designing Olympic ski race suits at the time. And I had prototypes in the back you could sell online for like $1,000 a pop. There was like $10,000 worth of merch in,
Oh, do you?
in the trunk.
Do you still have
waiting.
those? Can you tell me your address? Where do you live?
I have a 2014 US and a 2014 Canadian downhill ski race suit. And I'm just waiting because they're only going to get more valuable to the right collectors.
Well, here we go. We're back to that.
It's true. Oh, money making?
Whatever
Yeah,
happened to
well,
the car?
yeah. I'll wait till I need some cash. I'll wait till I lose a bet to Jake, which isn't going to happen with this Nikki Haley bet.
It's coming up. You're going to be $20 poor, and I'll take
Can
it in the
you-
form of super chats.
Let's just go back to this for a second. What would the media reaction be? They would love, like MSNBC would be like, Nikki Haley should be president because she's endorsing Biden, right? Wouldn't they fall
Yes.
in line with her? They would be like, she's our hero.
It seems
Here's
crazy
what's going to
now.
happen. Biden will
Go
step
ahead.
down. Haley will become the Democratic nominee.
Ordained.
I thought it was
Ordained.
Liz. I thought it was going to be Liz
And then I'll
Cheney.
self-immolate.
And you'll self-immolate.
It seems crazy now. Wait until we get the first criminal guilty conviction. That's all I'm saying. I don't think that means MAGA's going to change their mind, but I think a lot of the I just think enough 5 percentage points means very little to us and the world to them. I think she's going to see a bright future that doesn't exist. And
Do you
chase it.
think Trump is going to be in so much trouble he can't be president? Is that
No.
even a thing?
No. That's not
I
gonna
think
happen.
I think he'll get the convictions, and I think they will be so weak in the sentencing that it will be as though nothing happened.
And he
No.
won't lose any votes.
I think he's going to
Oh,
be
no, he's
held
not
to
gonna lose any
account,
votes.
and his fans are
disagree
going to
there.
realize their mistake. Personally, I don't know. That's what I think.
You're being facetious, aren't you?
No, not at all.
You cannot trust any of that. Okay, so what if Biden steps down and they say we want Kamala Harris to do it?
To do what?
Candidate.
Run?
Who would say that?
Say that. A lot of women recently.
Yeah, who does say that?
A
No,
lot of
but,
women
like,
recently because she's been on the circuit.
what if
I
Biden
don't know,
made an
man.
announcement and
she's a
said,
woman.
"I'm turning it over to
Yes.
Kamala Harris"? Like, what if Biden's elected and then turns it over to Kamala Harris right
That
away?
won't happen.
You know
I'm
what,
saying
though?
if it does,
Kamala,
how do you?
Kamala's got to be better than Biden. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
At this point,
I'll
I would
take
take
it.
Hillary
Yeah,
Clinton
sure.
over Joe Biden.
Oh yes, I would
That
take
might
Hillary
happen.
Clinton. Hillary Clinton spoke out against Israel and gave, at least pushed back against Netanyahu a little bit more when she was Secretary of State than Joe Biden ever did as president. So I mean,
Binder.
in fact, there's that story out there about how under the Obama administration, Obama had spoken out against what Israel was doing at the time in Gaza, and Hillary, as Secretary of State, had prepared a sort of red line in terms of Israel crossing that line, and then they would have to do something, whatever it was. I don't recall.
They never
probably
stopped
nothing
funding
crazy.
them.
Probably nothing crazy, right? But at least
Yeah.
something. And Joe Biden was visiting Israel and was with Netanyahu when Hillary made the speech. And Biden, apparently Netanyahu was concerned, and Biden basically assured Netanyahu not to worry about what Hillary said, that it was all talk and there was going to be nothing to worry about. I mean, Joe Biden undermining his own country, his own administration, his own cabinet, undermining his president, Obama, to assure Netanyahu that they had nothing to worry about. They could continue doing whatever they were doing to the Palestinians.
Yeah, because he's a Zionist.
So
And he's proud of it, Jack.
Yeah.
I forgot to
Well
mention the 1 hour mark. We're at 1 hour and 46 minutes.
Yeah.
So this is an epic stream. But Binder, what do you think? Is there going to be a Hillary Clinton presidency
No. Hillary Clinton's
no.
not.
ever?
Yes.
Not now, but like
No.
No.
No. Are you sure you mean Kamala, or are you talking Hillary Clinton?
Not
I think Hillary Clinton will be president one day.
Hill dog.
No.
I'm in.
Oh, my
I'm in.
God.
Sign me up.
Who wants to
Oh,
put money on?
Andrew,
I'm just
why?
kidding.
No.
I
I'll
don't
put
wanna-
money on it.
I don't want to bet.
No.
But
I
think it can
I
happen.
honestly would be relieved if Joe Biden was to just hand it over to Kamala. I don't
you
think.
make a
Listen.
good point. Make
I
a
don't.
case
I don't
for it.
think. I don't think she's great, but I don't think she's horrible. From what I've seen, she'll certainly be a step up from Biden, like comparatively. Obviously, she's horrible
Yeah.
in the larger sense, in that all Democrats.
Well, as a
of-
prosecutor,
right.
yeah, she had that.
Yes. I also
Fringe
think though she wouldn't
factor.
be. I also think she wouldn't be as bad as Biden is on Israel and Palestine.
Keep the student loans. I wasn't paying them anyway. Just stop killing people, and I'll stop saying that word. Stop doing what is happening in Gaza. Yes, I'm with you there.
I think I
Are we
mean
not allowed to
as,
say kill?
as much
Is
as
that a
I
thing?
don't want her to be my president or
get
my
that memo.
candidate for president, I do think that she seems to be worse at being the vice president than I think she would be a president. Like she doesn't come.
Well,
I
vice
think
president.
Yeah.
Vice president
better-
has no real power. They don't have anything to do really. They're
But
there
like
for that
ev-
to break that tie
not
vote
a
in the Senate, and that's pretty
every
much
time
it.
she talks, though, I'm like, she just
Or be
sounds like
best.
she doesn't know what she's doing. But if she were in a leadership
Oh,
role, I
she
think it would
knows
be
what
different.
she's doing.
I don't
And
know.
I gotta
That's
say,
just my-
I'm talking about how bad Biden is as someone who before October 7th was pleasantly surprised by Biden up until October 7th.
Well,
I really
wasn't.
thought that the bar was on the floor, extremely low, obviously. But I thought there were a number of things that I was not expecting out of him that he had done. We are beyond that now. He is his inability to even show empathy to not even just Palestinians, but his own citizens who have family there or feel connected because of their background. Just no care at all. Not even feigning it. Can't even fake it. Can't even go out there and put on a show. Just zero. I think he's a piece of shit. I think he's a horrible person, honestly. Just as a human being, I
Yeah.
think he's a terrible
Well,
person.
But then we go back, it goes circular. What's our alternative realistically?
Now,
what is our
none.
alternative realistically?
But later, plenty. I
love
think
now and
we are
later.
doing good at no longer seeing this as a thing that we do once every 4 years. I think it's very likely that Biden will be the president. If not Biden, then it's going to be Trump, and that's a whole different set of problems. But regardless, we know it's not going to be a good person that's the president. But I'm delighted to see that it's not like the bad old days of the early aughts where that was the end of the conversation. The conversation is, what do we do with the tools at hand? I don't like the tools it looks like we're going to get in November. That doesn't mean we're canceling the project. We're going to fix this place. How do we do it? Plans.
We got a toothbrush and a stale Fruit Loop. Now let's fix this submarine.
Is that what happened to that one?
Is that where you're leaving it? I thought there was going to be more.
No, that's all I got.
Sort of just abruptly ended there.
No. We're a broken submarine. We're a.
I mean, if you just think about the
got
stuff
bullet
that
holes.
went on last year and where we're at, it only got darker and darker. You get those billionaires who went down in that sub like idiots, and we're all
That was the best
laughing
part
about
of last
that.
year.
And then look at where we are now, and it's like,
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. We were
Looks like
laughing
we're
at
in fucking
billionaires.
season
Now we're
4 of
crying.
Breaking Bad. That's where we're at.
I am grateful. I'll say it endlessly. I'm a broken record with this. I am grateful for alternative media. I am grateful for every single person on the screen, everyone who goes on air weekly and daily to talk about not only what's happening, but how it's being talked about by the mainstream, because that is state propaganda. I think the discussions are, and like I see young people in their 20s. Like when I was in my 20s, I was not paying attention to any of this shit. Like the Bush Gore thing, I was like, okay, politics.
Oh,
sucks
I was.
anyway, who cares?
I was one of those nerds
were on it?
who were. I was very political when I was.
But I think
I
it's
mean,
like-
obviously still am. Yeah.
It just feels
I was
like
political,
so many
but
people
I didn't
are.
know.
Well, and I mean, part of it's the internet, but part of that is having shows where we can talk, having online media. And I think that it's becoming more and more, like a lot of people said, oh, when Trump was elected, that's when online media took off, and now it's kind of pointless. It's not. And during the pandemic is when Twitch streamers really took off, and now it's not a thing. It is. And I think that there's a lot of infotainment and edutainers, whatever you want to call them. I think it's on some level journalism, and it's just a new kind, and we don't know how to identify it appropriately. But from what I'm seeing is there are, I mean, I'm doing my 77th interview in a year exactly on Friday of people who do this work. Come on. Like there's a lot out there.
If you're starting to feel too depressed because of the course of the year, think about this same time, but in 2003. So 6 months after we did the very same thing that Israel's doing. You would have had, instead of that 15%, that 100,000 votes in Michigan, you would have had absolutely no knowledge of it. You would have had people like me saying human shields, how awful, of Al Qaeda, not realizing that that's just what we say when we shoot civilians intentionally. Now you would have had Fox News and NBC and MSNBC shaking hands. Now at least there's a chance you can hear about it. And if you're looking for the champions, you won't find them. But if you're looking for the heroes, look around you. They're in the audience. They're doing their damnedest to learn. They're people who are going out and trying their best to communicate to people through whatever means they have, which usually takes the form of social media, of how we're going to fix these problems.
Here's a funny one from Kowalski. I'm not grateful for alternative media. In a different timeline, I wouldn't care about any of these problems, living a blissful ignorance. I
agree with Kowalski. Fuck all you people.
Yeah, well, see, you can't ignore it.
Blissful ignorance in my circles is clueless morons.
Should we move to
thing.
super chats? We got a few super chats. You want to move over to those?
Well, I have a couple of questions for Binder
Oh, go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, sure.
before he runs away.
AMA.
Oh, I like this. I love being questioned.
AMA.
All right. Well, let's up it a little bit. This is an interrogation,
Ooh.
you know. So I'm locking the
boy.
door. You can't leave now.
All right, let
I'd
me
like to
start
get your
the
take
recorder.
on the destruction of Google and all search engines.
What do you mean? Like,
They're just unusable. Like they do like
proposed
auto matching
destruction.
tags, and they have like
Oh my God,
AI
yeah.
filtration
Yeah.
and all this horse shit.
She's got a point.
right? Yeah, I think it's not good, obviously, because I think when it all comes down to it, search in general, not obviously what Google's been doing lately, but search in general was a great sort of tool for to find things on the internet. Like you were used to be able to generally use Google and find exactly what you were looking for, or discover something completely new that fit still the terms of that search query. Now, and it's not even, honestly, it's not even like the ads. Obviously, Google sort of enshittified everything with the constant spotlighting and highlighting of sponsored ads, like pushing down legitimate organic search terms, search results, I should say, and instead putting sponsored content, sponsored links above it. That obviously wasn't good, but I think the real enshittification of Google and search in general is that they are now insisting on integrating AI into everything that they do.
Yeah.
And
it's going
AI
fast.
Right.
It's coming on
AI
fast.
is not where people think it is. It's not that powerful. It's not AI that you see in movies. I've said this many times. Like, people think artificial intelligence, they think of robots with feelings and emotions and critical thinking skills. These are language
It's just
models.
a marketing term. Like they're just trying to
Language
shore
models.
up their investors
These are-
and get some extra cash.
Right. These are language models that have been trained on loads of data to basically sound as human as possible, to be able to automate mundane tasks. These are things that previously, a lot of these things were achievable on the internet before it was packaged up as AI. Certainly generative AI, like AI photos and AI videos, still very early there, but obviously that's new. And some of the stuff coming out of that can sometimes be semi-impressive, but it's still nowhere near.
I saw this video of puppies playing in the snow.
Yeah, I mean, again, some of it's impressive for
They
where
had
it
5
is.
legs, man.
Yeah, but it's not like
So adorable.
people who are worried about that stuff, the people who are out there saying it's gonna replace filmmakers and actors and stuff, basically have no talent and creative skills to begin with, because the whole point of a good film or good acting is the human being behind the role or the vision, and AI cannot create that for you. And people can say, "Oh, who can?" No, it'll be obvious in the quality of the content.
It's obvious in the quality of the artwork that comes out of AI when it's AI. Even the articulation of these videos where now people are using AI to have a figure like Trump or whatever be articulating something. It's not real. But will other people?
Right.
Will other people be able to?
I think the biggest area where AI will be a big deal is with online content and misinformation, because the bar is already so low there, and
Yeah.
the
Writing fake news articles, literally.
right, and the quality of the output doesn't have to be any good to convince people at that level.
And that's the thing with search engines is you have like all these content farm websites that just use AI to like maximize search engine optimization and get tags for their like fake articles that just rewrite other articles and then get things wrong, right? And then the AI model will be like integrating it into like that thing right below the bar, like this is what we think you're looking for, and here's a summary, and that's wrong. And then like Google will
Like
rewrite
garbage.
your search terms. So if you search like, you know, what's the best mop for cleaning this specific thing, it'll like just rewrite your search term with like a brand of mops, you know, like
Right.
they don't even
I
like
don't
it's just
want-
all fucked.
I actually
don't-
had that
I don't
happen
want-
today. I did
yeah.
I used a quote by a musician, and it was just a quote, and Google said, "Oh, would you like to see what this looks like in 4 or 5 different versions of that quote?" Not that I would do that, but I was curious, and it was completely different, but it tried to have the same intent. It was Patti Smith. Do you remember her? The
Yes.
rock.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was a Patti Smith
Yeah,
quote.
Make me
and-
believe in you.
Well,
Phenomenal
it wasn't
song.
specifically that, but it changed it, but it was trying, and it made it so it sounded like what came out was something from, higher Ivy Tower academia.
That's
I
the
would
thing,
not
though.
use it.
That's the thing, though. Like, I don't want, and this is where search engines got things right. I don't want a chat bot to regurgitate data it scrapes off the internet as if I'm talking to someone and they're giving me their own words, because it is not. It cannot do the fact checking. It cannot do the sourcing. It cannot do that. What Google was great at was giving you the information you were looking for, but in the form of a link to the original source. So you yourself can go to that source and see if it's a trustworthy source giving you that information. Like, listen, there's a lot of criticism for Google, but at the end of the day, their core product, a search engine, which is where they made their bread and butter, it worked, and it worked good. And their inability to innovate in that area over the years made them nervous, and they see these trending, technologies like AI from OpenAI getting all this attention, so they felt like they needed to jump in that realm, jump into that world.
Yeah.
And they are ruining their core product, which again worked well.
I have to say I've been using Bing for like the first time in my life in the last couple months just because Google's unusable, so like it just doesn't work anymore.
And Bing integrated AI into their thing, so I'm not saying Bing is great either. Bing uses a lot of AI, but one thing I noticed is that Google is also leaving behind some of the features that made Google search so great. For example, they no longer cache web pages. One of the great things about Google, this is a new thing, by the way. One of the great things about Google is if a page was removed from the internet recently or changed, you used to be able to search for that link in Google, and Google would have a saved version of that page from maybe a day or two, maybe even a week ago. And you could view that cached page, and if one thing that just happened recently is Vice shut down, and people may have their content removed from the site, their work. They can't depend on Google to have cached pages so they could save their content. If that content gets wiped and they didn't save it, it's gone.
Really?
So Google is no longer caching pages.
Disappointing to hear.
That is disappointing. That is a huge feature that made Google search great. Bing is still caching pages. They don't do it as robustly as Google. Google basically cached any and all pages. Bing is more selective of what they cache, but at least they're still doing it.
How many servers of just cached pages?
I'm
must
saying
that have
I'm
taken
saying
up?
I'm sorry. I'm saying cache, and someone just corrected me. It's just cache.
Cache.
I know it's cache. I've always said cache. I don't
I've
know.
always
I wanted to
cache.
say
Yeah.
something, but cache does sound better. Like it
It's-
should
I
be
like it
pronounced
more.
cache. Like that's
And I'm gonna stick with
objectively phonetically superior in
It's
every
French
fashion.
anyway.
It does
I'm
sound better,
100%
right?
Staying there.
Right.
What,
I've
what,
been
what
corrected
cache
on that
is fucking
before.
stupid.
I've
How-
been
I-
corrected
well-
on that before, and I still say cache. It's something that it's not. I'm like I can't. I'm
It's
too
okay.
old.
Tomato,
I'm too old.
Tomato. Who gives a?
My point being,
No
how
one
much
fucking
information
says
though are they
tomato.
holding
That's
on
not
to?
real.
Yeah, how much information is it? Endless amounts of information they hold on to, or like, is there a limit?
Well, how much can they? They're limited by how many servers they have.
Yeah.
Well, they had no
Surely.
problem
So, I mean,
before doing it. I mean, they make money hand over fist. Like Google
Yeah,
search
fair.
ads
What am
is
I
a
complaining about?
huge business. It's a huge business. I don't think people, and that's they make a lot of money, and I think they're worried they're not going to make as much because people are going to depend on chatbots. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I wonder
just-
how it's going to be in
I think-
academia. Oh my god.
I think AI is not cryptocurrency in the way that I felt there is no use case for crypto. It is an entirely a speculative asset that has no real world sort of use other than to speculate and make or lose, more likely, money on. AI is not that, even though a lot of the criticisms of AI can be also made on crypto. There are use cases for AI. There are tasks that AI can help in, such as,
Medicine.
like I said, no, like
what they
mundane
said.
automated tasks. Like,
Oh, okay.
like if you're
Yes, please give them the
if you're
shitty stuff.
if you're a programmer and you are constantly needing to do certain tasks, I don't know, like cron jobs or whatever, AI can help, but AI will be a tool. I don't envision AI completely replacing creative workers, skilled workers, but some will certainly find AI helpful as a productivity tool. But again,
In
it's
climate
yeah.
science.
But
Like,
like
when I did
it is
that
a
action
it is a
cartoon, I
trend
used
right
it as
now.
a tool.
Right.
but
It is
not
a
AI.
trend right now. Like it is
Yeah.
it is being promoted by people who have money to make from it as an end all be all futuristic, job killer. And it's just not going to happen. Like look at how many times we've heard that automation is going to kill
ATMs. No more bankers once we get ATMs.
or cashiers. We've heard
I've
over
been
and over
to a
Yeah.
again.
bank in my life.
McDonald's is going to be, but look what happens. Sure, you see the screens in McDonald's. At least in New York City, everyone goes to the cashier.
I don't.
You go to
I go to the
you-
fucking
you-
screen. I don't want to talk
you-
to anyone.
I never
go
go
to-
to
I
the
don't want to touch
screen.
the same
You
thing
go-
other McDonald's customers touch. I know where I've been.
I don't
in
go to
fact-
McDonald's.
A lot of places that instituted the self checkout lines, they are now closing them and forcing people to go back to cashiers because guess what? When people have to self checkout, they're gonna fucking just walk out with the product, and so they were.
I did my part.
Well, wait a minute. Then there's
Right.
I
Cop
always
City,
steal
and
at
they can
least one
provide
thing.
the cops for the automatic checkout.
I mean,
You
it's
make
just
a great point. It's a fad technology. It's not a bad technology, but it is also a fad technology, which means it's being overestimated in terms of
right.
its use.
And again, think about like who we hear these concerns from. You have Elon Musk, for example, out there saying, "I'm very concerned by AI. Why is he concerned about AI? Why would he be concerned about AI? What
Right.
does he give a shit about AI? And if he's so concerned, why did he just launch his own AI company? No, he has ulterior motives here.
Right.
The whole purpose is to say AI is dangerous because it's going to replace jobs. And why is it he's saying this? Because if you hype up AI as this technology that can do that, it can't. If you hype it up, though, you will get funding from people who have money to gain from, guess what, replacing human beings with this magical AI robot that can do 100 people's tasks. But guess what? They can't. They just can't do it because the technology is not there. And even if the technology ever gets there to do certain tasks, they can never fully replace humans because AI, as it works in reality, cannot critically think. It cannot display human emotion. And guess what? When it comes to service jobs, when it comes to creative jobs, when it comes to a lot of jobs that we hold near and dear, that's a pretty integral part of the job.
My
There you go.
partner
Feel
Jennifer is a project manager in a pretty big job, and she's not worried about it actually. And it's already, I guess, it's implemented in helping, you know how Excel is with the spreadsheets. It's like a Excel for business on steroids
love
in a
Excel.
way. In a way.
I mean, we
Right,
had
like it certainly will help in there. Like for like compared to like how automation changed things, like factory automation, like how we build cars is different. How we make all sort of factory made products differently because of various robotic evolutions that have happened.
Yes, Tim.
Yeah, they might maybe replaced workers who placed items on or screwed, but even that there's still people who have those jobs. They haven't been completely replaced. But even then, there are still factory jobs that require humans, and even where there are robots in the factories, there are humans required to oversee the work that the robot automation does. There are repair jobs for the robotic limbs that do these jobs. There are all sorts of things that are required, new things that weren't necessary before these factories were automated. There are still general sort of things that only humans can do in these factories. Will it affect some jobs? Sure, but that's like just how everything
It's how
goes. It's not
technology works.
Right. It's
I mean,
not.
who's
It's
Jeff
not
Bezos
specific
gonna
to
sexually
AI.
harass? A
The
computer?
fucking alchemist down the street isn't hiring anymore. This fucking shit blows. We got to bring back alchemy.
Okay.
And also, I think there will be opportunities there too, in the same sense that, like, sort of liberating cameras. We're able to create a whole new class of filmmakers, of journalists. Like, if you used to, if you want to record things, you needed high-end equipment, or you needed to be able to afford film, and the processing that goes into developing large quantities of film reels, for example, which is expensive. Now everyone has a phone, has a camera in their pocket. And anyone can make an independent film, and anyone, because they have the technology to do so. But liberating that and giving everyone an iPhone with a camera didn't mean that like fucking Martin Scorsese went out of business.
Right.
He's still, because of who he is and the talent he has, he's still one of the most prolific filmmakers on the planet. Like, it didn't replace him.
He just said
Okay.
filmmakers ought to embrace it.
Right.
Scorsese just
Right,
said we need to
there's-
embrace this. It's like,
'Cause it's not
kind of,
not
if you
it-
can't beat them, join them. But I think he's
it's
like,
not
we can
going to
make the most.
Right, because it's not going to replace them. In fact, maybe it'll help them in terms of being able to save money, in terms of the budgets necessary to create certain scenes or certain shots that previously would cost a lot more.
Still, when it comes to AI art, my favorite thing about art is when I look at it, I wonder, how did they do that? And when I look at AI, I don't think that.
No, yeah, listen.
And
If you are
just
going
takes
for
the fun out of it.
if you were going for that sort of AI art effect as part of whatever art you're doing, you're making a film, and maybe you're making a film about AI or whatever, and so you need if it's for the thematic purpose, sure. But in terms of like just creating general art with AI and saying I'm an artist, that's bullshit. I'm sorry. If you use if a real artist uses AI as a tool to get a certain effect, I'm fine with that. But if it is the complete totality of your art, that's not art.
I think it matters when we're talking about AI, we're just talking right now about a training model for software. So if it's all your art and you feed all your art into an AI thing to help you, yada, yada, okay, you're doing something interesting. You're painting with a different kind of brush. But if you're just doing a fancy way of stealing other people's art, even if it's 100 little things, nah.
Hey, let's read some super chats. We can keep talking afterward, but let's read these in case people want to
Especially Nadia's.
check on
I got one
out.
more question for Binder after the super chats.
Okay.
I'll be happy to answer it.
$5.
Oh, it's a
from
bang.
Did I answer
Donald
your question,
James
by the way,
X.
about search and everything? Did I get?
Oh,
to
I think so.
I just
yeah.
Quite.
wanted to hear your thoughts. So yeah,
Quite.
that was the answer.
Cool.
Donald James
Okay.
X says he wants a 6x6 foot left past 10 flag and one with the Doom logo or towels.
Rad.
So Jake, get on that LPT one if you don't mind.
Oh,
Thanks for
there's
the
already
$5.
towels.
Can we
There's
get
already
towels? Is that real?
Yeah.
You could do
I'm
shower
selling
curtains,
towels right now.
everything.
You're selling towels right now? Holy
I'm selling towels,
Another-
coffee cups.
He's reinforcing it
food.
with another $5. Like I said, I want a 6x6 flag with doomed logo on it. You can do that? I'm sure. Well, I don't know about 6x6, but you could do banners and stuff.
You can do 6x7.
Pitchfork Dragons, $5. Thank you so much. Who makes large orders of plushies in other countries? Maybe using slave labor for left-wing plushies is a bad idea. Yeah, and that's another. And just saying, and that is a good point. That's another reason why you wouldn't want to do it.
Right.
No, right. No, but also I don't think that's I mean, maybe it's I didn't even look. I was looking at like you buy in bulk and you get like a $10, $20 plush. That's how it works. That's why they do a minimum of 500 order, because then it's
Right.
worth it for them to do it.
But when
But
you
the
think
ones I was
about it,
seeing-
like, oh, I'm sorry, keep going.
No, the ones that I was seeing that do low quantities, I could never. That's for your own personal use. You can never sell them. I saw someone who said they'd make a singular custom plush. Like, this is a big company too, but it's cost like $100. It's like for a personal use. Like,
Now-
you can't sell that. No one's gonna buy $100 plush. People buy
That's the
plushes for what,
one-
20,
For
30
sex
bucks. You know.
purposes, Yeah.
That's the one where they were holding a picture of like somebody's drawing they sent in next to the finished
Right,
product, right?
that.
I thought that was cool.
Right.
Okay, I got a
But
kick
speaking
out
of
it.
like having slave labor create left-wing products, like personally, I think it's a good thing because the slaves are going to be seeing that left-wingers are getting popular, and then eventually maybe that'll save them. So it gives them
Oh, that's
positive morale boost.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh wait, here
Good
we
job. Don't stop working, but good job.
go. Do you want me to just read all these? Do you guys want to read your own? Does it?
Well, I
don't even
definitely
know
want
which
to.
ones are
Yeah, I
mine,
want
so-
to discuss what Nadia's too.
Yeah, we'll
They're
get down to
really
that.
heavy.
T-types, $5. There are some projects in the U.S. that have been genetically engineered that have been genetically engineering trees to grow larger, faster, and take up more carbon. Yeah.
Good. Good.
That's
Progress.
like when they used to shoot silver into clouds and make it rain. Remember that? Oh, why do I
Yeah,
keep
that
going
was
back to this?
that was cloud seeding.
Snork Y2K, $2. Thank you. Don't forget some large eruption emit
Emit radionuclide.
Some large eruptions emit
radionuclide. What?
Radionuclide.
Radionuclide.
Like radionucleotides. They are radioactive. Well, aerosols.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Have you all ever heard of
nuclear.
radon?
Learn something
Yes.
nucleate every day. Yeah,
That's
we
down in the
have.
ground,
I
under the house.
installed radon mitigation into my house as soon as I moved into it.
Really? What was the
Yeah.
process like? Can you describe? Like, how was the installation?
pipes it into mine.
So first of all, I looked into it as soon as I moved to the area, and it turns out that after my house was built, they started making it a requirement of all new homes. And I said, well, we should probably do it. They come out, they look at your house, they find the best place to do it. What they do is they dig a hole into the substructure, either right outside the house or inside the house. And then they have PVC pipes that go up to a fan in the attic or like the roof, and it filters it out. And then there's a little, it looks like a thermometer. And when the liquid isn't even, or maybe it's when it is even, it sets off a little alarm to the radon people. And they go, oops, we need to come out and make an adjustment. Mine, normally it's these gaudy pipes that are on the outside of your house. But I was like, look, I think if you put it right here in the basement, you can go straight up through this closet that we're not using and right to the attic. And that worked perfectly.
So it's inside the house?
Yeah,
pipe?
you would never know unless I pointed it out, but
That's interesting. Yeah, I was looking into radon, but like, I don't want to
They-
have people in my house installing
Well,
pipes.
you have a home inspector come out, and they put these little test strips in your house in like 8 to 12 different places.
Oh, I
and
don't
they-
need test strips. I got
See-
lots of radon where I'm at. It's
You
leaking
Andy, you're
from the
muted.
floors. It's like, it's like, how in
Okay.
movies or anime or video games, like the lava has
Yeah.
like bubbles that point like,
I don't think you can
that's the
see it
radon.
though, because
I
a
can
lot of
see it.
people think it's a myth.
No, I can see it.
Andrea,
That's a power
you
I have.
can look up the information in your area if you really
Oh, I
want
looked
to
it
know.
up already?
Sometimes
fuck.
you
So
can
you
just
know
tell
there's
by
radon where you
if
live?
you're-
Oh, there's tons.
creepy.
If the land in your yard slopes toward your house, I think you can pretty much guarantee. that
I
you
won
got
a
it.
radon test. I haven't even called for it.
Oh, we are
Do it.
sloped. We got radon
All right.
coming out of the ding dongs.
Oh, we read this.
we went
earlier.
that. Let's. Joe
We
Evans.
read that. That was a good one. Oh,
Thank you, Don.
$5. Love you
Love
too,
you too,
Sandy.
Donald.
Good egg.
All right, Nadia. This
10
is so
bucks.
important. Thank you, Nadia. She's my hero. For November, help get trans people out of the country before the election. They are very, very easily found to be rounded up by whoever has access to government identity databases, never mind passability.
I hope
Where
that
was
was a
Cindy?
super chat for
Else.
me, because if so,
It's
and it wasn't,
frightening.
I'm pretty sure, I will
After.
be using that to
Well,
escape the
Nadia,
country. Thanks.
Nadia's with us, and she is always in our Discord, and she's brilliant. Okay.
Nadia, wait a
Number
minute before we
2.
go on to the next one. Nadia,
Yeah.
let me offer this change of plans, if you will. The day after the election, the day after, there's a period between when the person is elected and when they take office. I want those trans people there voting for trans rights. Just tossing that your way. I'm on board.
Well, it's a
except do it
mail-in
day
ballot.
later.
We'll vote and then we'll leave.
Boom. There you go.
I
Then
love you,
we'll leave.
Nadia. All right. AI includes speech recognition, face recognition, etc., to go hunting through surveillance footage and phone call recordings for wanted people and terrorist leftist conversation. So she's very well read, and you could say that's scary, paranoid, whatever. I don't think it
Cognito
is,
hazard.
because they'll use it in Cop
Oh, no.
City. They'll use
Yeah,
it in
I-
Cop City.
100% think that is something we should be cautious
Right. The
of. I don't
TSA
think
is
it's gonna-
using it now.
We won't be seeing it affect our lives most likely tomorrow, but next year?
Which is another reason why left-wingers should stop being little whiny piss babies and start wearing respirators at all times when leaving the house.
Yeah,
There
There
you
is
go.
no reason
Give ourselves-
whatsoever, unless you have an IQ in the single digits, to leave the house without a respirator.
Don't trust the man.
Thank you, Nadia.
Or the
You know how I feel about you, Nadia.
What else did you want to ask? Old
Oh,
man, as they
well, I want to
say.
see what Binder's opinion is on Bitcoin about to hit all-time high levels. That shit is popping the fuck
Hold on a
off. It's
second.
up like
Is it
50% in the
really?
last
Hold
few
on, this is
months.
a 1 hour show. It's been going for 2
Yeah.
hours and 20 minutes,
Bitcoin,
and now
that's
you're
a
going to
whole-
ask him about
Yeah, and
Bitcoin?
yeah.
course.
The
That's the
fuck?
next time he comes back.
He has to do a show at 11 a.m., I think, right? Or around 1
No,
PM?
no. Yeah, I'll be on at 1 on Majority Report tomorrow, and
Okay,
I have a
so-
day job, obviously. So I'll be doing my reporting job as per usual in the morning, and I take my kids to school too in the morning. But listen, I'm used to running late. If anyone watches me at youtube.com/mattbinder, in case you're not already there, or twitch.tv/mattbinder, you'll
I thought you were
know
gonna
that
say
when I
you're-
do my show,
This
sometimes
is
it
a
goes to
shorter
1,
than average Binder
2 in the
stream when you
morning.
really think about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
I've been trying to do like 2.5, maybe 3 hours lately, but it's
Ugh.
not out of the ordinary to see me go 4 hours. And I'm talking when it's just me.
I can
Solo
do it
show.
an hour and a half. When I get tomorrow, every time I do a long marathon like this, I've got to recover. But I also have a bad back, so I literally have to recover.
Honestly, that's where I'm getting. That's where it's. I have back issues too, so that's where
Okay.
I might
like
I
this,
might be
where
able to
you
go
have
8
to wear a back
hours.
brace.
If
to
it was
sit?
well, not that. No, it's not
Yeah.
that. It's not. I'm not
But
there
wait,
yet. Maybe one.
But
day, though.
everybody knows I'm the mother hare. I'm the old lady. That's what somebody said. If the old
Mother
ladies
hare, I
are
like that.
getting, or if white old ladies are getting stopped and treated like that, there's no help for anybody else.
We're all fucked.
You're still a bad bunny, my friend.
Oh,
I
yeah.
will. I really
Oh,
quick.
fuck
I'll say
yeah.
this on Bitcoin. It was
Fuck
always.
yeah.
This was something like this was always going to happen. I was very vocal about letting people know when the last crypto crash happened. And crypto sort of died down from the mainstream, and a bunch of crypto companies, like crypto lending companies, and FTX were probably the biggest story, being basically a money laundering scam. I let people know that this isn't the end of crypto. There's still a whole industry dependent on it being
Wow.
successful, even though I think a lot of people learn their lesson from it. But
I did. I lost $500 and I said goodbye.
right.
Oh, I made a couple thousand the last few months. I'm looking
There
pretty
you go.
right now.
Right. There's
Well,
there's
you
gonna
put
be
it into
winners
it,
and losers.
Andrea.
Yeah.
I did
No, but
I'm
not
the winner.
want to.
Sandy's the loser.
Right,
That's
there's
right.
Gonna be
I
right,
lost
There's gonna
it.
be winners.
I lost at love and I lost at Bitcoin.
But that's all it is. Like, we should be clear. That's all it is. It's a speculative asset. Bitcoin just happens to be the one successful of the crypto in terms of it being a speculative asset. I think there is. My interest is in how much money is actually behind it popping up. There's a lot of tethers backing Bitcoin, and
Oh, I
that's a
love the
whole nother
tether scam.
story. Yes, and that's a whole nother story that'll go on for. But long story short, basically, there is a company that basically prints up a cryptocurrency known as a stable coin called Tether. And then this Tether is used to back a lot of these crypto coin buys. A lot of these crypto token buys. So a lot of what people are buying Bitcoin with are tethers. And
I don't.
they're not backed by, they claim they are, but that's also not the case. Because out of the blue, you'll just see billions of tethers printed up out of the blue. So the real question is how much actual... Right. Yes, exactly. So the real question is how much real, fiat money that, is in there. So if everyone was to sell, how much money would actually be able to go out? So we don't know. And so I don't know what's driving this particular pump.
This is the
Greed?
halving pump.
Maybe being greedy. Oh,
People are
the
buying
question
it
is-
because the halving is
more.
coming. So,
Well, we'll see.
okay.
well, also, I just want to tell you a use case. I bought hormones on the internet with Bitcoin, so that saved my
Seriously?
life at one point. That's correct. A doctor
Could you-
fucked
could
me
you-
over and wouldn't prescribe me medicine, so I had to buy it online, and I used Bitcoin.
And
Could
it
you
was
have not
safe.
used Bitcoin otherwise?
Well, the other option was Litecoin, but
But it was safe.
Other than cryptocurrency, there is no other option.
no, there's no other option.
Oh my God.
Wild.
Well, I'm still alive. I mean, who knows if it was safe, but I'm still alive.
No,
so
I'm just. That's just such a
Right, but this is obviously that's obviously
thing
like
to
you could also say that another use case I guess is
Buying drugs.
for buying drugs or
Yeah, that'll be me when they kick
yeah,
us
that-
off.
But
of
even
paid
but
meds.
even then though if they wanted to go after you for illegal drug purchases or use, they could easily track. It's not like
I
They-
got to
they
use
could track if
Monero
they
for my
wanted to.
drug purchases.
It's like buying penicillin with IF whatever those ape drawings. It's
I
like,
mean,
we're in weird times.
Oh,
someone
yeah.
brought up Silk
Yeah.
Road, and Silk Road's a great example of how the government wanted to get him, and
Yeah,
they were
all
able to. and they-
traceable.
right.
All traceable. Well, Nadia sent in fingerprint matching is already an AI task, albeit a simplistic one. Automated machine gun nests and homing missiles and autonomous drones, etc., are also forms of AI. It's there, just not human-like. Well, that's
Right.
in.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was
That's
saying
what we're
earlier,
building
like,
in the Pentagon.
like
the military.
AI as in AI as in automation has been a thing. It's not new at all. What I think we talk about now when we say AI is specifically generative AI. That's the sort of new thing. The chat bots that are able to have conversations, quote unquote. The apps that are able to spit out articles based on the data it's trained on, the generative AI art, photos, videos, things like that. That's sort of the big thing. That is what I was sort of getting to before. Like automation has been a thing that people have used on the internet for a long time. So how that got wrapped up in like the AI discussion has always been like bizarre.
I
to
hate
me
that they
because-
call
Do you
it
know-
AI. Like,
do you know-
as a video game person, we've been using the term AI for fucking decades, to
True.
describe how monsters behave in video games. And now all of a sudden you can't use the term anymore without boomers going like, my internet has AI in it too. And
Oh,
it's like,
for
I'm not
God's
talking
sake.
about
But
that
that-
grandpa just died already.
I do have
Also
a
gun
story.
employee.
Do you know they had automation back in New York City, it started, they were called automats. And you could go into the restaurant and on the walls, it
Yeah.
was all glass doors and you put your money in and you
Old
took your
school.
food
Yeah.
and people freaked out, at
get
least what I
pie,
heard from the family.
sandwiches.
Yeah, people freaked out about, well, who's, we want waitresses, we want people. They didn't last. Automats didn't last forever because people were so angry. I just remember this from listening to my grandparents talk about it, that the automat was going to stop and it didn't. So we have to wait and see. I mean, I am with Nadia as far as the military industrial complex and every nefarious thing that's going to be done. I mean, we are, nefarious are us.
I'm firmly of the belief if we can pawn off the work we want done onto robots, let's do it. Let's just make sure we don't F over humans in the process.
Amen.
Hey, Matt.
We already effed over humans.
Which one?
We're collapsing in
men?
every
True.
ecosystem possible, guys. Sorry.
I just
we
wanted
did
to
that
tell
show
you,
last night.
I found the other card with the rest of that joke on it. I maybe take another whack if you don't mind.
Are we talking about the envelope joke?
Really,
Oh, man, I
Nadia?
love
Yeah,
this
yeah,
one.
yeah.
This was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
awesome. I can't wait for the sequel.
All right. A time traveler walks into a bar.
It's got a window on it.
Yeah, that's called a Jake's it.
Yes.
That's
All
how Jake
right.
leaves the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Jake's it. I knew that was
Motherfuckers
coming.
Yeah.
using a
It's gonna be
windowed
it'll
envelope,
be
man.
it'll be me next, but everybody's
paper and
hanging in with
plastic?
us tonight. This
Saw
is
that
like
coming.
I think this is the longest I've ever been on.
Yeah, normally
Oh, did-
Sandy
did we-
is the
did
first
we-
one to go. So
Did we read this post
Second.
from Wanda? Glad to see the crossover between Left Past 10 and Leftist Mafia.
Yeah. It's
It
a
was
it's a real
fun.
crossover.
It's been good,
We-
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
enjoyed
I-
this a
there's a
lot.
I
left
can
past 12
host-
at this point.
I don't
Yeah, y'all
know if
can make
this
fun
would
of me.
be worthwhile, but I could host literally all of Leftist Mafia on this show. We could all get on screen at once. I think that might be overkill, but it would be fun
we
to
could-
do
we-
for a
we-
minute.
We would
You
need
could
like a
certainly do
talking
it for-
pillow
yeah.
type situation.
Like we should do our show on a Thursday one night, and then we could just for 5 minutes all be on screen at the same time. It would be crazy.
It'd be fun, yeah. I'm sure they'd be down too. The rest of the guys would be down too.
What
Guys
other
and
group
gals.
shows are there like this? Are there?
Oh,
any
there's a
others?
lot in the science community. There are tons. I mean, I know so many channels where 4 or
I know
5
they're out there,
scientists.
yeah.
They sit. I watch them because I'm a nerd. I watch my scientists.
I just
Said
mean
4 or
like
5 of them in one time.
just trying to because I was like, well, the reason we did this show was because we had a shared audience, and a couple of people in the audience said, why don't you guys just do a show together? And I was like, okay, let's do it. And I looked around and I was
great.
like, it's really just those guys on Thursday night doing it with the Leftist Mafia. I don't see a lot of other people like with
On
the
our-
same
yeah.
viewership doing this.
There you
and
go.
I thought that
Right.
I don't know, I thought that was unique. So
Yeah, and you even
Yeah.
had Antonio Reed on from our
Yeah.
channel. So
but I mean, we're
That's great.
definitely I mean, you guys came up with the model. I was like, we'll just do it that way.
No.
yeah, you
no,
guys
no. There's-
did. You did.
Let's be honest. Panel shows have been going on for a while.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
true. But
yes,
reading
that's
the super
nothing new.
chats at the end and all that, I was like, that's kind of the way.
Well,
we're
you got
gonna
to
do it.
delay the ending by 3 hours to rake in the dough. You know, it's pretty simple.
Right, that's I mean that's just I mean they come in. I don't force anyone to give them, but I certainly encourage them by saying I'll stay as long as you send money.
Well,
I'll read
Nadia,
all the
I
super
love
chats.
you. Nadia's
I said that
paying
once
my
and I had a
taxes.
40-hour live stream.
The one
40-hour
time
live stream, I'd be dead.
The one time I was on Leftist Mafia, the best part was just Bender and I at the end reading the super chats. That was, I mean, it wasn't like a bad show, but we were watching the GOP debate. It sucked, and I
Right.
was like, oh, cool, we get to do super chats.
Matt, you have longevity. I've watched you. You know, you definitely have longevity. Or I'll walk away, shut it off, come back, and you guys are still on.
Yeah, I
I don't
enjoy,
even.
like,
I didn't know who you were talking to for a moment. I got
Matt
very
Binder.
confused.
Binder.
Oh, right,
knew
Mr.
right.
Binder.
Oh,
yeah,
This is the
there's-
first time I've actually interacted.
I knew exactly who she was talking to.
Yeah.
There's
I don't
there's
have long
actually that has happened a number of times tonight though, where someone's went Matt and I've been like, is it, which Matt? Oh, right.
I just assume it's you.
Right. Well, people usually call me to delineate the different mats. People usually just call me Binger. which I have no problem
Okay,
with. It's been-
Bender.
yeah, it's been
Okay.
people in high school called me that. College. That was just the nickname that everyone gave
Your
me.
dad is
It
Bender's
works.
dad.
It's Binder Dad, actually. Binder Dad.
Bender dad.
Bender dad.
Classic.
you're-
I think your dad
Classic.
follows me.
He probably does. Yeah, my
He
dad's
was on
very
here tonight.
interested.
I saw your
Yes, he
father
was in the
was on here
chat.
tonight.
Yeah,
I know I saw
yeah.
that. That's so way
I-
cool. He's probably my generation. Well, I'm Generation Jones.
Oh.
The fuck is Generation Jones?
I
They're
did a
just
whole
making up
show on it.
generations now.
No,
Come on.
I did,
There's no
It's-
Generation Jones.
Yeah,
No,
it is.
give-
It's a
give-
real
no,
thing,
it's not
Andrea.
real.
Yes, it is. And
Get
I'll
this
send you
outta
the article.
here.
I
There's no
did a whole
Jones.
show
Nah.
on Generation
No,
Jones.
you didn't, because it's
Fuck
not real.
yeah.
I put up a
She thinks I'm making it up.
graphic with a photo I took
I'm
in,
not
in
making it up.
Manhattan, and your dad said, "Oh, I know right where that is," and I was like, "Whoa!" It was a picture. I was in front of the library, the Metropolitan Library, and that's what it's called, right? With the lions out front.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was taking a picture of that street at sunrise, and he was like, he commented on it and said, "I know exactly where that is. That's this street. That's the building right there. I used to work over there." And it
So
was
you got doxxed
cool.
Nadia's
by
dad.
Bender's dad? Is that what's happening?
basically. Check this
Holy
out.
fucking shit, man. This is crazy.
Kowalski at $9.99. Bender took my cattle hostage, demanding I pay him super chats to release them. I don't negotiate with terrorists, so I'm sending my money to the better Matt. Well,
Oh, jeez.
new
That's
Matt,
funny.
old Matt, better Matt. I don't know.
You got a lot
I
of
don't know.
objects in that super chat.
Thank you for the money, though. Appreciate the contribution.
Yeah.
Things can only get better.
Fucking assassination.
Contribute
cord.
also to Jamal Bowman in New York State.
He was saying earlier that if I let him on, he will broadcast on the show from a cornfield. And
Oh.
I kind of think he was kidding because it'd be dark out there, right?
No,
But
he's
those
done that. He's
tractors have
called-
lights.
He's called in to my show with
Oh,
over
cool.
Skype for video from the tractor in the cornfields at night. It's,
right,
it's
well, we
quite
gotta do
impressive
that.
to see.
Just by
Where
like,
does
being
he
on the
live?
same show with that, I would
Nebraska.
get horrified.
Oh, he's in Nebraska. Okay. Because I'm in a farm
on a farm in
community.
the middle of like nowhere. He's
Yeah.
got like a big like cornfield, and it's pretty cool to see. He's got crazy equipment like tractors.
Check out his
are not-
YouTube.
I hope they're
What
going to
you
be
think of?
fruitful this year.
I told this story before, but when I was young, I grew up across the street from a farm, and I got lost in the cornfield once.
You did tell that
'Cause
story. I
was,
know.
I was shorter than the corn stalks because I was a kid. Oh my god, I was so scared.
I bet. Yeah.
And that's why I
across-
hate high fructose corn syrup.
Used to be right across from me. It was all cornfield, and then my neighbor, she bought it. Now it's horses. Horses. Like you're afraid of, Andrea, but lots of horses here.
I'm not that afraid of
Horses,
horses.
pigs,
They're
goats,
cool.
chickens, everything.
I like goats. Goats are cool. I got
Well,
those
you're gonna
horns.
come visit
you
me.
know?
I'm gonna take you to see the goats.
All right, one of these.
They're right
days.
across the street. I know you
Question
won't
from-
travel. I'm gonna
question from
time
the
travel
chat.
Andrea to my place.
There's a question.
I'm down
is
for time travel.
Is Andrea Canadian too? No, but why do you think that? Why do you think they think that?
Because I say Zed and I use Celsius.
Well, we're all trying to change over to Celsius.
I'm not.
Well, on my channel, so that we can
So
read
Canadians
all the
have been
scientific
using-
stuff.
They've been using Z instead of Zed because they watch American media, but Zed is cooler. I'm an American. I learned like when I heard a Canadian say Zed, I was like, I'm
Zed,
in.
right?
Yeah, I'm
And
in. Like that's
Z.
way
It's
cooler.
very
Z,
weird.
fuck a Z
It's very
sucks.
weird.
Well, Z is
It's
the
very
Russian
No, it's
movement.
awesome. You
Like
got Dragon
XY
Ball Z. What's my favorite
XYZ?
anime? You know.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I
That's
love that
pretty
shit.
good.
Like Zed makes everything more fun. It's more humorous, more lively. Fuck
That's
Is
yeah,
that
I'm
a
using
Pulp
Zed.
Fiction reference?
Zed's dead, baby.
Yeah, is that what that is? Who's Zed? Zed's
Zed
dead,
is the
baby.
letter in the alphabet.
We've got a follower, Christy Z, and everybody says Christy Zed.
There you go.
She's yours, Matt. I met her through your channel.
Yeah, but
Big
I'm
Zed.
I'm not.
Gen,
I'm sticking
Gen
with
Z
Fahrenheit.
is very bizarre.
Oh,
that
you
say
can
that,
stick
though.
with
Oh,
Fahrenheit.
I
'cause
love
now
Gen Z.
Jennifer
Just
and I
kidding.
try to
Fuck
say
Gen
both.
Z.
Gen
Gen Z. But Z is Russian right now. That is the movement. That is the war effort. You support Z, you're supporting their military. And
Yeah,
all.
that's why I support
That's the
Zed.
Z.
It's really that simple.
Yeah.
We have a comment in here that says, "Finally, Andrea said something not totally objectionable." And I would like to know
that?
what it was so
Who
I can
said
take
that?
it back, because I didn't mean it. Whatever I said that wasn't objectable, I did not mean that.
Oh, thank you.
You
Wendy
meant
said.
to be offensive.
Wendy said, in an El Nino year, Nebraska cornfield has a better than average chance of achieving a bumper, better than average harvest. Good. Okay.
So, Sandy, you
it's
don't
been
know who
tough.
Kowalski is? Kowalski
Well,
from Nebraska, legendary majority
I
report
did,
caller,
but I didn't know because I couldn't see. I
living,
didn't
breathing
know,
almanac. He should be calling into your show.
But my point was, in the chat, he didn't have that name. So
Oh,
I don't
yeah, that's
always-
why I keep calling him that. I just
Right.
ignore Prairie Fire.
Right, and that's what was my confusion.
Oh yeah,
My
nobody
know-
knows him as Prairie Fire, even though it's Prairie Fire.
No.
Right.
I didn't. So
My nickname
there
for
you
him
go.
is Haymaker.
And plus, when I watch Majority Report, I hardly ever go in the chat because it's in the afternoon when I'm doing
I
stuff.
can't even keep up with the chat. It's too fast.
Right. So I just listen. It's Looney Tunes. Is Andrea a hillbilly? Andrea, you're not a hillbilly, are you? Secretly.
I don't even know what a hillbilly is. But I would be open. I'm down to audition.
Ah.
I used to do housing for habitat in Appalachia.
You did?
Do you know habit or humanity
Right,
for
yeah.
habitat?
Yeah, oh,
this is
yeah.
Habitat for
Habitat
Humanity.
for
This
Humanity.
is where whoever you're building the house for must participate. We got to know a lot of locals in high school
Cool.
in Appalachia, West Virginia.
Were they hillbillies?
Appalachia.
Nah,
Is that a slur?
maybe.
It is now, I think.
I don't know. Yeah, but
I allowed
would
to
call
say
anyone a
this?
hillbilly.
When the movie
it's not a
delivered,
slur.
Oh, shit.
when the
It's
movie
not a
Deliverance came
slur,
out.
but I
Are we
wouldn't
gonna
call
get
someone a
banned?
hillbilly.
Oh
No.
No.
No, because we're talking in a genre, you know.
These guys,
Right.
these
we're in
guys
a
would
genre.
tell funny
Yeah.
stories that didn't go over well with me and my high school friends. We were like,
Timbo.
whoa. They just weren't funny. But anyway.
Tim
Were
kills
they like?
me.
Did they sled down the hill? Like I assume hillbillies live
Oh.
on the hills, right? Like
Well, they were mountain folk.
I
know, that
rolled
was
down
the
a hill once
typical
when I was a kid.
stereotype.
I rolled down like it was a big ass hill. I was like 5 and I rolled, sideways.
The correct term is Appalachian American.
Yeah, there you go. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. All right. So Matt Bender, or Bender, would you like
Yeah.
to bring up the rear and have the last words if we're
Bring up the rear.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
12:42.
Fuck?
This was
That's
yeah. Kowalski, I give you all the hillbilly pass. I can
Aw.
also give you the I'm not gonna say that pass, Pollock pass.
Well,
but I do not give
as a
you all of
Pollock,
that.
I'm gonna say it,
Pollock
and I'm
pass.
taking it back. I'm taking
There
the
you go.
passes back, and I'm giving them all to Bender.
Awesome.
But
thank you.
they
I
were
appreciate it.
coated in a poison, so now it's over.
Ooh, now I'm dead. Anyway, this was great. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed speaking with all of you. Matt from Matt, aka the Letter Hack, Andrea. It was great to talk with you both again. Sandy and well, Jake's not here, and Jake. It was nice to talk to you both on air for the first time.
Mhm.
And happy to come back anytime.
Great.
How about next week?
We well,
We got Harvey K next week.
We got
Harvey
Harvey
K's
K
coming on.
next week.
I just like to people say that, and I like to keep them on their toes.
I actually would be fine coming back next week, but you guys got another guest, and also I do need to do my show. And doing 3 nights in a row, I think right now I'm not. I've been out of it since the winter. I've not been something about and also I got to tell you and I'm sure you all feel this way too. Covering what's happening in Gaza has been obviously
Exhausting.
It's nothing compared to what other people are going through, obviously, but it is mentally, emotionally draining. And it's
I agree
and
with
so it's been sort of demoralizing to even
That
yeah.
I feel for you.
Um,
I understand it. It hurts. I can't stand it. But covering the climate and ecological crisis and pending collapse is not easy either. It's all
no.
messed up. We are living in some very interesting times.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
And so I guess if anyone on my channel is watching right now, please check out Left Past 10 whenever they're on. And if they're
thank you.
ever on when I'm on, just choose which one you want to watch live and catch the other one as a
Yeah.
replay after.
Good advice.
Why don't you all drop your YouTube channels, and then I'll drop my YouTube channel for your audience. But
I put yours in
go ahead.
already. It's in the show notes.
Okay, cool. There you
And-
go.
Yeah, I'm in.
YouTube.com/Matt Binder. There you go. And twitch.tv/Matt Binder. You can find me pretty much anywhere online. Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, etc. Just search Matt Binder. You'll find me. And let everyone on my channel know where they can find you all and subscribe to you all.
Just
ahead,
look up
Sandy.
Environmental Coffee House. We're also YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, X, Blue Sky. When I remember to put up a notification on it.
I haven't
But
logged into that.
for the
shit
most
in
part, it's YouTube. When we do show Tuesday and Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, and interviews with climate activists, scientists, all kinds. I mean, I've got interviews with the gamut of people that are very fascinating and interesting, and that some will scare the shit out of you and some will make you feel like you really just want to get up and do something. So thank you. I have a team of 4 or 5 people also. It's not just me. It's Jennifer. It's
network.
I have an oceanographer. I have a meteorologist who's going for his PhD in disaster management. I mean, we have some interesting shows.
You ever think
Sounds
about how
cool.
meteorologists don't ever talk about meteors?
Or ologist.
We do, because we talk about the meteor that's hitting the earth. The analogy. Okay, there you go.
Go ahead,
So
Andrea.
thanks.
Where am I going?
Above it all.
Oh, I do a show
YouTube.com?
sometimes. It's called Above It All. It's also known as the Existentialist Doomer Hour, where I talk about how much that, everything sucks, and then people get mad at me. And then on the next show, I get mad at them, and it's just an infinite cycle. And you can find me on YouTube at Andrea Ravensky. I think that's my name. I'm not sure. But I have another
is on
YouTube
there.
channel where I do Doom speedruns, the old Doom, not the corporate sellout garbage that you may be familiar with that came out recently. Next month, I'm doing March Movie Madness. And in the Doom speedrunning scene, we call long runs movies, because Doom speedrunning dates back to the 1990s, so we have a lot of boomer lingo here. And I'm going to be doing a lot of long Doom speedruns in the next month or so.
I'll just say on Jake's behalf, you can check him out on youtube.com/WYCD, which stands for What You Can Do. And I am at youtube.com/theletterhack. Join the Discord. We talk about a lot of stuff on the Discord. It's up and coming. It's really growing. If you want to have
Letterhack Discord.
Oh yeah, if you want to have cool
Yeah,
conversations
there's
about
ours
comic
too.
books, please check out the Discord. We are talking about comic books and art. You can post your own art. We've
How
got
was I not
people
invited?
embracing
My
art
name is
again for the first time in years. It's a really fun, inspiring place to hang out. It's our
Yes, yours is.
Oh,
it's
I
our
am in the
Twitter
Discord.
bunker. It's
Our
where we're
Discord
going when
is,
Twitter implodes.
Ours
I
can be
joined this
frightening.
Discord 7 months ago.
But check out my YouTube show every Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday 8 p.m. Eastern, and Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm interviewing and talking with all kinds of online media figures, political online media figures, politicians alike. I never let my guests go without recommending comic books to them in order to show people that the medium is much more than just Marvel and DC and superheroes and masks. We got all kinds of really cool stuff going on. So please tune in. And
I gotta
Matt,
say
thanks for
really
being
quick
here.
before we leave, I just gotta mention, because I thought it was funny and I meant to mention it earlier. I did not realize that Jake was that Jake of that YouTube channel
Yeah.
until the intro played earlier,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh shit.
His reputation precedes himself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
meant to
compliment.
say it to him earlier when he was here, but I missed that boat.
Yeah.
You
But
never
it was
know.
an
He
absolute
sometimes
pleasure.
pops back in. So, you know.
Oh,
He's
really?
always in the chat.
Oh, there
after
he
leaves.
is. Oh, in
Yeah.
the chat right now.
He's in
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
And
As
that's
Jake
usually
would
what I
say,
do too.
what can you do?
I think he jakes it from the show abruptly because he's got to take that tie off. He's like, that's it. It's 12 hours in the tie.
That's funny.
He and I did a Zoom one Sunday night at 10 p.m. and I was like, what's he going to be wearing? Shirt and tie. Couldn't believe it. Didn't even have a show that day. He's just that guy.
Psychopath is
Pretty
what I
classy.
would say. But
Well, me and Jennifer, we've had pajama party shows, and I mean, we're sitting and talking about the most horribly scary subjects with little hats on or pajamas.
I would just think that it's,
Yeah.
it's practically Monday, middle of the
Andrew.
night, and he's wearing a tie.
He's
I'm
great.
still here. I got a breaking news announcement.
needs a bow
before we
tie.
end.
Max the dog.
No.
Tennis ball.
Oh.
Max, get uppy. Come on.
Matching
Come on.
tie-dye
Say goodnight
hoodies.
to Max.
Come on. He's
Matching
Oh.
hoodie.
Aw.
He's so cute. He's cute.
Oh, that's a
Matching
cool hoodie.
tie-dye. So cool.
Yeah, they match. That's really cute.
Perfect sidekick.
Yep.
Oh, it's over.
Well, it was good to see Max.
All right, Sandy,
All right.
Andrea.
Look,
Oh,
ya.
just
Look
can't
at
let
that.
it
I
go.
told you.
look
I
at
told
that.
you.
Did you put on a new
I
tie?
will not let that slander go. Not even taking off the jacket, you rat.
What slander?
Oh,
Ah!
he's back
Oh,
out. Oh, there
gosh,
we go.
that guy. He just comes on to Jake's it again.
All
love you
right,
guys.
everyone, have a great night. Take
See you
care.
guys.
And,
Been
see
just
you
trying to get
around.
the fuck out of here. We
Later.
keep delaying the
No, I'm
exit.
not. I stayed around longer than people who are actually
No.
on this show regularly.
That's true. This is it for everybody.
I don't care what people say, tomorrow is too far away. We can leave and they can stay, cause I for one am never gonna change. Ever since I was a kid, knobby knees and lots of lip, I found it hard to listen when they told me to be quiet and to wait. I think they'd agree that's just not possible for me. I wanna shout, I wanna scream, I wanna dance, I wanna sing. I think you are just like me, let's go see what we